Chapter 708. Shu Min. That big-mouthed actress in an X-rated movie. I like her a lot. Let me ask her how much she costs for a night. Zhen Shuai said with a smirk. What the? Do you want to die? You better know where you stand. Cheng Yi rolled his eyes at him. I was just thinking of my next girlfriend. It's just a childhood fantasy. Zhen Shuai chuckled. He was worried that Jiang Tian would be mad at him. Jiang Tian might be easygoing, but when it came to matters of national interest, he was not a pushover. You guys are really reckless. Don't you know who Shu Min is? How dare you flirt with her? Fine, fine, fine. I won't bother with you anymore. Hearing their conversation, Wu Zhirua snorted angrily. I will leave you all to fend for yourselves. However, Li Huiyan looked at the people in the restaurant with pity and shook her head. She knew that the Xiang family of Yi and group and the entire Hong Kong entertainment industry would be finished in a few days. When Jiang Tian was angered, just how terrifying was the destructive force? It would make heaven and earth change color, the world tremble because of it. Moreover, these lowly Hong Kong hooligans had messed with someone they shouldn't have messed with. 10 minutes later, a stylish Porsche stopped in front of the restaurant. The car door opened, and a tall woman walked into the restaurant from the passenger seat. She was wearing a Louis Vuitton limited edition handbag and a pair of Gucci high heels. Her legs were long and slender, and her body was curvaceous. She had a pair of seductive eyes that were wide apart from each other, making her look even more seductive. Her bright red lips were big and plump, sexy and hot. Shu Min. She was born in a poor village. However, in the 90s, when Hong Kong's film industry was in a cold winter, she rose to fame because of an X-rated movie and became a porn star in Southeast Asia. To put it bluntly, the life of a porn star was similar to that of a prostitute. Due to her poor acting skills, she couldn't escape the fate of aging and fading away into obscurity. However, Shu Min was different. This woman was smooth and slick in socializing with people. She was very good at pleasing people, but she managed to climb up the Xiang clan and walked on the golden path. She played many important roles. She had won an Academy Award and a Golden Horse Award. Her salary was high and her influence was great. She was one of the top movie stars in Huaxia and was on par with Li Huiyan. He even appeared on the cover of Time magazine in 2007. In addition, she was Xiang Qiangsheng's mistress. With Huaxing Movie as her backing, she was even more influential in the entertainment industry on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. She was known as the Queen of Hong Kong Movie. This woman had left behind many famous sayings, such as, I want to put back the clothes I took off one by one, and so on. Her disgraceful experience of filming X-rated films in her early years had made her the idol of countless women and an inspirational goddess. Hearing that something had happened to one of her restaurants, Shu Min didn't take it to heart. She now had a few hundred million yuan in assets. In 2010, the domestic film and television market's box office had exploded. The few movies she had acted in had all become explosive hits, and the box office sales had all exceeded a few hundred million yuan. She had earned a lot of money. A small restaurant like this was nothing to her. If she hadn't happened to pass by, she wouldn't have bothered to take a look. Someone from the mainland? Since when did people from the mainland dare to behave atrociously in Hong Kong? However, after hearing the report and seeing that Zhou Yulang had been beaten so badly, Shu Min was a little angry and frowned. Zhou Yulang was her cousin. Before she became famous, she lived in a public house in Shek Kip Mei Estate in Sham Shui Pa. She didn't even have enough to eat. At that time, only Zhou Yulang helped her, and the two of them had a deep relationship. In addition, she saw Li Huiyan in the crowd at a glance, and she was a little annoyed. A few months ago, a big Hollywood director was preparing a big superhero movie. In order to please the Huaxia market, part of the movie was shot in Hong Kong and needed a Chinese actress to act in it. Shu Min was quite interested in this role. She visited the investor several times, and even Mr. Xiang spoke up for her. In the end, the Hollywood director chose Li Huiyan, who was far less qualified than her. This made Xu Min hate Li Huiyan to the core. She even hired a water army to smear Li Huiyan's reputation. At this time, seeing that Li Huiyan was present, she couldn't help but think that Li Huiyan might be looking for trouble. Thinking of this, she raised her chin, and the aura of the queen of the entertainment industry erupted. She looked at Li Huiyan proudly and scolded sternly, "Li Huiyan, you've gone too far. Bow down and apologize to me now, and I'll let you go. Otherwise, I guarantee that you'll stink the entire entertainment industry." Li Huiyan smiled sweetly and said, "I think Miss Xu has misunderstood. This matter has nothing to do with me. I'm just attending Mr. Jiang's party. Mr. Jiang has some friction with your hotel." At this time, the blonde waiter came to Xu Min and pointed at Jiang Tian to report a few words. Only then did Xu Min look at Jiang Tian, who was sitting at the table. Xu Min was an entertainment star, and in recent years, she had been doing well in the mainland. She had connections in all directions. She had slept with almost all the famous rich young masters. No, she knew all of them, but she had no impression of Jiang Tian. He was just a nobody, so he probably didn't have a powerful background. A trace of disdain flashed in Xu Min's eyes. She raised her chin proudly and said, "Mr. Jiang, I don't care who you are, but you have hit someone. You have to apologize to the manager of my hotel and pay for it." Jiang Tian didn't even look at her. He was too lazy to talk nonsense. Jiang Chao pointed at Xu Min's nose and said coldly, "Who do you think you are talking to? Who do you think you are talking to?" Xu Min retorted. She raised her voice by a few decibels and suppressed Jiang Chao's aura. She sneered proudly and said, "Do you know what my trump card is? I'm Xiang Qiangsheng's woman. One word from me, and you won't walk out of Hong Kong alive." Xiang Qiangsheng. That son of a bitch Xiang Qiangsheng again. Jiang Chao slammed the table and cursed, "Who the hell does he think he is? Ask him to come here. I'll break his legs and make sure he can't survive in Hong Kong." "Jiang Chao, don't be rude to my idol." Zhen Shuai stepped forward and said to Xu Min, "Miss Xu, I'm your loyal fan. When I was young, ever since puberty, I always did that to your movies. Don't worry, I will settle this matter for you. Don't underestimate Mr. Jiang and don't offend him. You can't imagine how powerful he is. Not to mention Xiang Qiangsheng, even if Superman Li is here, he will need to kowtow 3 times and kowtow 9 times." Jiang Chao wanted to help Xu Min and take the opportunity to sleep with his childhood idol. But to Xu Min, it was not a good thing. Superman Li from Hong Kong. He was personally received by the country's leader when he was in China. Who would kowtow to a young lad? This group of mainlanders really didn't know how to brag without a draft. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She laughed and said, "Who do you think you are? How dare you call Mr. Xiang by his name? Arrogant. You guys are really arrogant. Reckless bumpkin from the mainland. You guys don't know who is ruling Hong Kong. Hong Kong's surname is Xiang. The Xiang family." At this moment, Jiang Tian looked at Xu Min for the first time and asked with a smile full of ridicule, "You can think of it that way?" Xu Min raised her chin and said proudly. And society had more members than the Hong Kong police and Hong Kong troops. In Xu Min's eyes, Xiang Qiangsheng was even more powerful than chief executive. She was also glad that she got Xiang Qiangsheng drunk more than 10 years ago and successfully climbed into his bed. Otherwise, she would not have become a superstar. She lived in a mansion, drove a sports car, and was surrounded by bodyguards and assistants. Let me tell you, I didn't ask you to come here because your hotel is blackmailing me. It's not because your hotel is disrespectful to me. Jiang Tian frowned and said lightly, "I don't want to talk to you about anything. A trashy actress like you has no right to talk to me. I don't want to bully women. I want to use your big mouth to ask Xiang Qiangsheng to come here. I want to discuss some important issues with him." "You are just a bumpkin from China. What right do you have to meet him? Shu Min was getting impatient and said sarcastically, are you going to apologize or not? If you don't, I promise that I will make you die a horrible death. Slap her. As soon as Jiang Tian's voice fell, Jiang Chao took a big stride forward and slapped Shu Min to the ground. How dare you hit me? Shu Min's face turned pale and her high heels fell off. She was stunned by Jiang Chao's slap. She could not believe it. Everyone in Hong Kong knew that she was Xiang Qiangsheng's woman. Who dared to touch her? The others were also stunned. Their eyeballs almost fell to the ground. This group of mainland people was too rough. They hit people without saying anything. They were too reckless. They even dared to hit Shu Min. Yes, that's right. I hit you. What's so great about you? Why can't I hit you? Jiang Chao commented in a murderous tone, look, your mouth is like a sausage. If you cut it, you can cook a few dishes. Shu Min was stunned. She felt wronged and wanted to cry. At this time, Zhen Shuai stepped forward and pointed at Jiang Chao. Jiang Chao, you are too ungentlemanly. How can you hit people? He helped Shu Min up and said with concern, Miss Shu, are you okay? As long as you stay with me for one night. Although I can't guarantee that Xiang Qiangsheng will be fine, I can guarantee that Mr. Jiang won't do anything to you. You. Shu Min could not believe it. She pushed Zhen Shuai away and backed away. She thought that she had met a good person, but it turned out to be a pervert. Shu Min calmed herself down and said disdainfully, who do you think you are? You are a mainland pauper. A toad wants to eat swan meat. I've never seen someone as shameless as you. Zhen Shuai was unhappy. His face darkened and he said, Miss Shu, I am serious about pursuing you. How can you look down on me? I have my heart set on the moon, but the moon shines on the ditch. He shook his head regretfully and said, I have given you a chance. Unfortunately, you don't know how to cherish it. You will die a horrible death. At this time. Boom. 7 to 8 commercial cars suddenly stopped at the door. A series of messy but powerful footsteps sounded. Hundreds of fierce men appeared one after another. They instantly crowded the restaurant that had been cleared. They were wearing black t-shirts and black casual pants. On the t-shirts were 3 shocking words in red calligraphy, E and Club. The hundreds of fierce men were all tall and strong. They had a fierce aura. At first glance, it was obvious that they had been through hundreds of battles and their hands were stained with blood. They were Hong Kong's triads. Chapter 709. Seeing that the reinforcements had arrived, Shu Min was instantly rejuvenated. She sneered and said, you guys will die miserably. She looked at Li Huiyan fiercely and said arrogantly, Li Huiyan, just you wait. I'll strip you naked later. Then she looked at Jiang Tian and the others and said with disdain, poor mainland people, now you know who you've offended, right? Are you regretting it now? Are you afraid? Surrounded by the crowd, a young man who could be considered handsome walked over arrogantly with a face full of arrogance. Fang Qiong. The Prince of E and Club. Those who did not know him would think that he was a half-famous movie star. But those who knew a little about Hong Kong's underground world knew that he was Xiang Qiangsheng's only son and the future successor of E and Club. Xiang Qiangsheng had once asked more than a dozen emperors and queens to play supporting roles for him and spent 300 million to make a movie. Of course, he lost a lot of money. However, he did not care about this small amount of money at all. Most of these movies were used to launder money. It was just a way to make his son famous. At this time, Zhou Yulang also seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. He pointed at Jiang Tian and the others and said to Fang Qiong, young Master Xiang, these are the people who beat up Jie Zai this morning. Hurry up and kill them. Help me vent my anger. Seeing Fang Qiong coming over, Wu Zhirua and Sun Jiaro were trembling in fear and their faces were pale. Sun Jiaro shrank like a quail and said in a trembling voice, young Master Xiang, we're from Hong Kong. We're just eating here, you don't know these mainland people? Fang Qiong looked at Wu Zhirua and said in a calm tone. Sun Jiaro pulled Wu Zhirua. Wu Zhirua hesitated for a moment and followed. At this moment, she did not have the courage to look at Jiang Tian. Sun Jiaro pretended not to know Jiang Tian. It was understandable. After all, the Xiang family's hands were stained with blood in Hong Kong. No one dared to provoke them and no one wanted to get into trouble. But Wu Zhirua was different. The Wu family of Hong Kong and the Jiang Tian family of Jinling had been friends for 3 generations. She had almost married Jiang Tian, and now they were calling each other brother and sister. In the past 2 days, Jiang Tian had saved her father's life. Just yesterday, Jiang Tian had helped her secure a large order from the Li family. It felt like only 1 minute had passed, but it also felt like 10,000 years had passed. Unfortunately, in the end, she still lowered her head and said in a low voice, I don't know them. Let's go then. He tilted his head forward, indicating for them to leave. After the 2 girls left, more than 100 people surrounded Jiang Tian and the others so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. If an ordinary person were to encounter such a situation, they would have already been scared to the point that their faces would have changed greatly and they would be trembling. They could either run away or call the police for help. However, not to mention Jiang Tian, even Jiang Chao and Zhen Shuai didn't show any fear. They even felt like laughing. Originally, he thought that the bodyguard team of Su Shiji, the son of the richest man in Huaxia, Su Tianyun, was nothing much. Now, compared to this group of cowards, the bodyguard team formed by Su Shiji's retired soldiers was much stronger. Jiang Chao could take care of them all by himself. I heard that you're looking for my father. I'll talk to him for him. Qian Xiang smiled faintly, held a cigarette in his mouth in a very Hong Kong manner, and casually sat opposite Jiang Tian. This guy's looks are not good. No wonder his movie lost so much money. Zhen Shuai shook his head. Do you know the rules? Jiang Chao stepped forward and kicked the chair under Qian Xiang's butt over. Qian Xiang fell to the ground with a face full of shock. Young master. Are you okay? Xu Min and a few others hurriedly supported him. Someone pointed at Jiang Tian and the others and shouted angrily. Jiang Chao's expression didn't change as he said, Qian Xiang, who do you think you are? Are you qualified to sit on the same level as my brother Tian? If you want to talk, stand up and talk. This was not an exaggeration. The founder of the Yi and Society was Qian Xiang's grandfather, who was also Xiang Qiangsheng's father, Xiang Tian. He was Jiang Chao's man and was a military major general. He belonged to the same generation as Wang Chongyan and Gong Yile. Of course, Xiang Tian had no martial arts cultivation. In the underworld, there was still a gap between his strength and influence as compared to Wang Chongyan and Gong Yile. After all, Wang Chongyan and Gong Yao were commanders of martial arts organizations, while the Yi and Society founded by Xiang Tian was mainly made up of low-level laborers. However, Wang Chongyan and Gong Yao were killed by Jiang Tian. How could a person like Qian Xiang be qualified to sit on the same level as Jiang Tian? Jiang Tian was now interacting with people like California's financial group leader Marshall, European Union President Jung, and Palace of Gods Hera. Who was Xiang Qiangsheng? It could be said that in terms of seniority and strength, even Xiang Qiangsheng was not qualified to talk to Jiang Tian on the same level. Jiang Tian didn't even look at him. He had no personal grudges with Xiang Qiangsheng. You piece of shit, you're looking for death. Do you know who I am? Xiang Qiangsheng is my father. Qian Xiang was so angry that his face turned pale. In Hong Kong, although the Xiang family was not as powerful as Superman Li, Shao Shikuan, and the other 4 major families, they were still a second-tier family with a few billion assets. Especially when they had the Super Yi and Society. Even the 4 major families didn't want to mess with them. Some tried to rope them in, while others stayed out of their way. In Hong Kong, although Qian Xiang was not as ruthless as his father, as the prince of the Yi and society, no one dared to mess with him. Not long ago, there was a Shangxi resource tycoon from the mainland who wanted to have a drink with Xu Min in a bar. Qian Xiang slapped him 3 times in public, but no one dared to do anything to him. However, he was humiliated by a few mainland tycoons. How could he hold it in? He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Noisy. Jiang Tian shook his head in disappointment. Why were all the rich kids so useless? They always brought up their fathers. Chop him up. The more Qian Xiang thought about it, the angrier he got. He waved his hand fiercely. Behind him, hundreds of burly men didn't say anything. They rushed forward and drew their long swords to attack Jiang Tian and the others. Some people might think that killing people on the street was too much of a joke. Was Qian Xiang so stupid? Indeed, the Yi and society was no longer the same as before. It had completed the original capital accumulation and most of its businesses were washed ashore. Xiang Qiangsheng only controlled the Yi and society remotely. He had an agent and became a movie tycoon, rich, upper class, respectable person. Respectable people would kill people, but their hands would not be stained with blood. In other words, as long as their hands were not stained with blood, the law couldn't do anything to them. The Xiang family had been fighting against the ICAC and the Hong Kong police for 70 years, but none of them had ever been sent to jail. The only reason why the Xiang family was able to survive was because of the powerful legal system and the 10 top lawyers in Hong Kong. As long as Qian Xiang didn't kill people personally, there wouldn't be any problems. In fact, Qian Xiang didn't usually do that. He wouldn't leave evidence for the police so easily. But today, he was really angry. First, his brother Jie Zai was beaten. Now, his father's woman was also beaten by them. He was so angry that he lost his mind. He must kill Jiang Tian. You're courting death. Cheng Yi, who was originally sitting, suddenly had a cold look in his eyes. He jumped up without warning. His right hand pressed on the back of the chair, supporting his body to rotate in the air. His feet kicked continuously. In the screams, more than 10 men who were close to him were kicked and flew out almost simultaneously. Blood spurted out of their mouths. These men instantly turned into human cannonballs. Every one of them flew out and knocked down several people. The dense crowd suddenly became chaotic. Cheng Yi's feet landed on the ground. He took the opportunity to throw out the chair that had just supported his body. The sturdy chair shot into the already scattered crowd like a cannonball. 3 of the thugs were directly hit and flew more than 10 meters away. They crashed through the glass wall and fell to the ground. They vomited blood and fainted. The wooden chair exploded into pieces in the air. Wood chips flew everywhere. The strength was amazing. Jiang Chao was not to be left behind. With a clang, the round marble table next to him that weighed at least 100 kilograms spun and flew up weightlessly as if it was made of foam. Whoosh whoosh. The marble table slammed down again. It directly knocked down a few of the horrified and pale thugs to the ground. Bang bang bang. Jiang Chao kicked out one after another. Marble tables flew out one after another. People were constantly knocked down to the ground. Awesome! Jiang Chao was excited. He grabbed a marble table and swung it like a large fly swatter. It was easy and casual. The marble table knocked away more than 10 machetes. It directly sent 3 members of the society flying more than 10 meters away. They crashed through the glass window of the hotel, crossed the street, and slammed into the tobacco shop opposite. The glass wall shattered. The people in the shop exclaimed, "Who is so good at fighting?" Some people could not help but vent the shock and fear in their hearts. In just a few minutes, all the people of Yi and society fell to the ground. Only Yi and society's crown prince was left. He stood alone in the mess. He was stunned. Xu Min was even more shocked. She could not believe it. 2 people had defeated hundreds of good people from the society, Was he still human? It was unbelievable. As for Zhou Yulang, he did not even have the chance to be shocked. He was already knocked out by Jiang Chao again. Slap. Jiang Chao went forward and slapped him hard. Fang Chang's nose was bleeding and he was dizzy. From the beginning to the end, Jiang Tian sat there and did not move. It was as if Fang Chang and this group of Hong Kong hooligans were not worthy of his attack. At this time, the battle was over. He turned his head lazily and looked at Fang Chang. He said calmly, "Keep your head on your neck first. Tell your father to come and see me as soon as possible." Fang Chang forced himself to calm down. Then he sneered and said, "Okay, I will tell my father. However, today's matter is not over. You seem to have some background. Something to rely on. However, it's useless in front of the Xiang family. Don't even think about leaving Hong Kong alive." Blood dripped down from his nostrils. It made him feel even more ferocious and terrifying. "Are you threatening Mr. Jiang?" At this time, a roar filled with monstrous majesty came from outside the door. A middle-aged man who looked elegant, handsome, smart, and capable got out of an Audi parked at the door and walked over quickly. Behind the Audi, there were also police vehicles coming and stopping. The words, "PTU," were painted in white on the bodies of the vehicles. Dozens of mobile force police officers wearing blue beret hats got out of the vehicles. They loaded their guns and occupied key positions such as the restaurant and the intersection. The elegant middle-aged man from before was imposing without being angry. Surrounded by several mobile force officers, he exuded a powerful aura and walked into the Lanfang Garden restaurant with majestic steps. Chapter 710. However, they were shocked to find that the famous Xiang Qian and a group of gangsters were beaten to the ground like dogs. Fang Chang heard the shout and turned around instinctively, only to see a person that made him tremble with fear. Fang Gui, the head of the Hong Kong police force. He was the newly appointed head of the Hong Kong police force and had always been the enemy of the Xiang family. During the family gathering, Xiang Qiangxing had said that the Xiang family was about to be wiped clean and that the prosecution period for many cases had passed. As long as nothing happened during Fang Gui's term, the Xiang family would be fine. However, Fang Gui was also the most likely person to defeat the Xiang family in the past few decades. A mortal enemy. I am the victim. I didn't do anything from the beginning to the end. Fang Chang raised his hands calmly, but in fact, his face was pale and his heart was pounding. This kind of small-scale fight was not a big deal. Why was the head of the police force here? To mess with him. For the E and society. Head Fang, you are so cool. I have attended your banquet before. Lu Yiting had met Head Fang before. However, Head Fang didn't remember her. He only nodded slightly, which made Lu Yiting very happy. Head Fang. I didn't expect you to be here for such a small matter. It's just a financial dispute. Xu Min hurriedly greeted him, squeezing out a flattering smile, her face full of joy. Fang Gui was the head of the Hong Kong police force. Other than the chief executive, he was the most powerful person in Hong Kong. Moreover, there was a rumor within the Yi and society that Fang Gui had always wanted to uproot the Yi and society and kill Xiang Qiangsheng. This caused Xu Min to feel uneasy. If the immortals were to fight and implicate the mortals, then she would be in trouble. Fang Gui didn't seem to care about Xu Min and Lu Yiting. Instead, he quickly walked up to Jiang Tian, bowed deeply, and spoke in the most respectful tone he had ever used in his life. Mr. Jiang, we were too late. Please don't be angry. I will deal with this matter seriously. His voice was trembling. He was scared to death. He also hated the Xiang family. He didn't know anything about this mysterious Master Kong. However, he knew that Jiang Tian had defeated the entire police force in Singapore, slaughtering the Chinese society and the richest family in Singapore. What if Jiang Tian went on a killing spree in Hong Kong and exterminated the Xiang family? Not only would it be difficult for the Hong Kong police to explain to the public and the media, it would also cause a riot among the tens of thousands of people in Yi and society. The Xiang clan was really blind. Previously, he had asked people to remind them to be more peaceful, but they still did something like this. Jiang Tian was too lazy to speak, nor did he express anything. Fang Gui continued to bow deeply. Seeing this scene, Fang Chang was shocked, and the muscles at the corner of his eyes twitched. Who could make Fang Gui lower his head? A red-walled prince from the mainland? The illegitimate son of some big shot in the central government? Or, Xu Min was also scared out of her wits. A thought appeared in her mind. It was over. Something big had happened today. But it wasn't over yet. I heard that someone wants to bully Mr. Jiang. What a joke. At this time, a tall woman with blonde hair and blue eyes walked in. The woman's clothes were revealing a large part of her snow-white chest. However, she didn't look like a prostitute at all. Instead, she gave off an oppressive aura like a queen. As soon as she arrived, she immediately suppressed Xu Min's aura. In front of her, Xu Min was like a dog's tail flower next to a rich peony, not worth mentioning. Even Li Huiyan's aura was deeply suppressed. Paris Hilton. Seeing this, Xu Min's heart skipped a beat. She couldn't believe it. Paris was an international socialite and a fashionista, but her level was much higher than Xu Min's. For example, in every Paris fashion show, Paris would be the first and second to walk the red carpet, while Xu Min could only rub the red carpet on the periphery. Previously, Su Shiji had jokingly called her the carpet star. Luxury brands like Gucci, Hermes, Armani, Prada, and other luxury brands wouldn't normally hire female celebrities as their spokespeople. That was because in the eyes of the real rich and aristocrats, female celebrities were just playthings. Their endorsement would damage the brand's value. For example, when Louis Vuitton hired movie stars to endorse their products, they were rejected and abandoned by their users. Royal family members and real socialites were their ideal spokespeople. If they couldn't get them, they would settle for the next best thing. For example, in order to get a few spokespeople for luxury cosmetics, Xu Min had to fight with other celebrities and hire internet water army to slander her. But Paris could easily get these spokespeople. It could even be said that if these brands begged her to endorse them, she might not even accept. It depended on her mood. The wealth of the Hilton family, not to mention Xu Min, even the Xiang family couldn't compare. It was like a chicken meeting a phoenix. A shocking scene appeared. Paris and a bookish girl bowed respectfully to Jiang Tian, then stood behind Jiang Tian like a maid. Thump. Xu Min's heart sank. She knew that things were not going well. To be able to make both the chief of police and Paris so respectful, this person's identity was simply too big. Mr. Jiang, I think that everything that happened today was a misunderstanding. I apologize to you. I hope you. Xu Min was born at the bottom and had been in the entertainment industry for many years. After realizing that Jiang Tian wasn't someone to be trifled with, she immediately put on a happy face and softly apologized. At this time, Jiang Tian looked up at Fang Gui and said, "Director Fang, I suspect that this company is involved in counterfeiting." As for Xu Min, he didn't even bother to look at her. Fang Gui dared to straighten up and promised with a smile, "Mr. Jiang, I will deal with it seriously." Xu Min hurriedly explained, "Director Fang, I have always been operating legally, please believe me," Jiang Tian said lightly. In the underground wine cellar, there are more than 1,000 bottles of 73 Cabernet Sauvignon from Liyue wine cellar. This kind of Cabernet Sauvignon costs more than 500,000 Hong Kong dollars per bottle. The total amount of counterfeiting is more than 500 million Hong Kong dollars. Is this a major case of counterfeiting? Several police officers rushed to the basement and used a hammer to force open the door of the wine cellar. Seeing this, Xu Min was so scared that her legs went soft, her head was buzzing, and cold sweat came out like a small stream. These Cabernet Sauvignon from Liyue wine cellar were indeed fake wine. Some were used to blackmail mainlanders, and some were sold to the mainland tycoons who wanted to make friends with her. She was a popular female star on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. Those tycoons would never think that she would sell fake wine. So, over the years, whether it was blackmailing ordinary tourists or selling, Shu Min had been doing it very smoothly. But she didn't expect that this time she would hit the gun muzzle. These wines are all real. They are valuable, you can't damage them. Shu Min decided to be tough and fight to the death. Whether she stretched her neck or retracted her neck, she would still have a chance to live. She pointed at Jiang Tian and threatened, "In addition, you'd better quit while you're ahead, or I'll sue you for slander." "Really? You said that these wines are all real?" At this time, the refined girl next to Iris picked up a bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon and said coldly, "The packaging is very lifelike, almost authentic." But Luyue wine cellar produced a total of 200 bottles of 73 Cabernet Sauvignon, and there are less than 50 bottles in the world. Even if you bought all of them, how do you explain the extra 900 bottles? Who are you?" Shu Min asked in a panic. How could this girl be so knowledgeable? She didn't come with good intentions. "Rachel from the Marshall family." Rachel said lightly, "Luyue wine cellar is my family's. So, I'm here to target you." "The Marshall family of the California conglomerate?" Shu Min was shocked again. She couldn't believe it. Her head was about to explode, and she almost went crazy. Rachel, the most beloved granddaughter of the California conglomerate's leader, Marshall, and the only heir of the California conglomerate. Rachel was not in the fashion industry, but occasionally, she would appear on camera and the media would give a full-page report. The California conglomerate was one of the top 10 conglomerates in the world, and it was on par with Rockefeller, Morgan, and other large conglomerates. Compared to such a conglomerate, not to mention the Xiang family of Yi and society, even the four major families of Hong Kong were like country bumpkins. Moreover, the Marshall family was so powerful that they could directly talk to the head of Huaxia. Even the chief executive of Hong Kong was not qualified. The Marshall family wanted to kill her, a female star who started her career from an 18-rated movie. Even Xiang Qiangshen couldn't stop them. Take all the related people away, and seal the wine cellar as evidence. Fang Gui also knew that the evidence was conclusive this time. Basically, Shu Min would be skinned alive. Click. Shiny handcuffs were cuffed on Shu Min's wrist, followed by Xiang Qian, the blonde waiter, Zhou Yulang and others. "Mr. Jiang, please let us go. We won't dare to do it again. It's all our fault for being blind, please." At this time, in the face of prison, the blonde waiter and Zhou Yulang no longer had the arrogance and domineering look. They were scared out of their wits. They knelt down in front of Jiang Tian and kept kowtowing and begging for mercy. Their heads were bleeding, hoping to be forgiven. But why would Jiang Tian care about such small characters? He gently waved his hand. The police officers immediately pulled them up, put on black hoods, and took them into the police car and sped away. Lu Yiting, who was hiding in the corner, was so scared that she almost went crazy. Her eyes were blank and her face was shocked. Oh my God! When did the mainlanders become so powerful? They could make the granddaughter of a California consortium a maid, make the chief of police respect them, and suppress the crown prince of Yi and society until he didn't even dare to fart. Sun Jiaro was so scared that she pulled Wu Zhirua and ran out of the street. "Sun Jiaro, I can't ignore Jiang Tian. If anything happens to him, how can I explain it to my dad?" Wu Zhirua broke free from her and said anxiously. "How?" Sun Jiaro said with disdain, "That's the famous Yi and society. They don't even blink when they kill people. Can you afford to offend them?" She curled her lips and said, "If you ask me, he deserves it. He asked for it. I've already reminded him a few times, but he still provoked Yi and society. I'll call the police." Wu Zhirua took out her phone and said, "Call the police." At this time, Luo Ziho appeared out of nowhere and sneered, "Do you think the Xiang family won't find out if you call the police? They've planted a lot of spies in the police force. When the time comes, be careful that the Wu family will be destroyed as well." "Luo Ziho, did you arrange all of this on purpose?" Wu Zhirua suddenly understood and said angrily. Although she didn't like Jiang Tian, she didn't want to see Jiang Tian being killed. "So what if I arranged it? I just can't stand his arrogance," Luo Ziho said fiercely. Suddenly, the sirens flashed, and police cars arrived one after another. Luo Ziho laughed gloatingly, "Ha, looks like that Hua Xia kid got bullied. He can't take it anymore and can only call the police. Let's go and take a look." He couldn't wait to see Jiang Tian's sorry state. Chapter 711. Luo Ziho pulled the two girls to the front of the hotel, but they saw a shocking scene. Ambulances, police cars, PTU's explosion-proof vehicles. Dozens of cars filled the entire street. And society members, who were covered in blood, were lifted up on stretchers and stuffed into the ambulances. In addition, and society's crown prince, Xiangqian, and Xu Min were also put on headgear and handcuffs, and were escorted into the police car. Jiang Tian and the others were chatting and laughing with Fang Gui, and walked out of the hotel as if nothing had happened. "Fuck, did I see it wrong? He actually knows Fang Gui." Sun Jiaro was in disbelief. Wu Zhirua frowned. It really seemed to be Fang Gui. Could it be that he knew Fang Gui through Superman Li's family? How could this be? Seeing Xiangqian and Xu Min's ending, Luo Ziho broke out in cold sweat, and his heart was uneasy. Could it be that Jiang Tian's background is so powerful that he can talk to Fang Gui? Obviously, Xu Min, Xiangqian, and the fierce people of and society were all taken care of by the police. Zhou Yulang was also arrested. He wouldn't say that I was the one who instigated the rip-off. If that's the case, I'll be in trouble. The police may pursue the matter, and Jiang Tian won't let me go. Luo Ziho, don't you want to see this? Jiang Tian looked at Luo Ziho, and said with a faint smile, "Do you want to see me beaten to death?" "No, how could I? Of course, I don't want anything to happen to you." Luo Ziho waved his hands, and his legs were cramping. "Didn't you leave? Why are you back so soon? Why are you so concerned about me?" "I'm very touched," Jiang Tian said with a smile. "Hee, I wanted to pick up Zhirua and Sun Jiaro." "Are you okay?" Luo Ziho was embarrassed. He was at a loss for words, and stammered. Could he say that he had been nearby, waiting to see Jiang Tian make a fool of himself? Jiang Tian could naturally see that it was Luo Ziho who was messing around, but he was too lazy to teach him a lesson. Because Jiang Tian found something very interesting. This brat's glabella was black, and there was a bad omen above his head. It was obvious that he would be finished soon. "Jiang Tian, just now. I'm sorry, I was really scared. There are too many of them." After Fang Gui and the police left, Wu Zhirua couldn't hold back the guilt in her heart. She took a deep breath and quickly walked forward. "It's fine. It's human nature." Jiang Tian didn't have the slightest good impression of Wu Zhirua at this time, but for Wu Buxiong's sake, he was too lazy to scold her. "Oh right, in a few days, remember to bring me to the Lantern Festival charity banquet." Wu Zhirua hesitated for a moment and said. Right now, Jiang Tian only had this bit of value to her. Sun Jiaro also heard about this matter. She came over and hugged Jiang Tian's arm. She revealed a cute smile and said, "Brother Jiang Tian, take me with you. You didn't have to put in much effort anyway." Her skin was as white as snow, and her features were picturesque. She had willowy eyebrows, cherry lips, and two snow-white slender legs under her hot pants. There was a trace of laziness between her eyebrows. Her temperament was pure and charming. Every frown and smile was peerless and could arouse people's desire. At this time, her full and bouncy chest was rubbing against Jiang Tian's back. Any man couldn't stand it, and it made Luo Ziho jealous. Take you. Take your mother. But Jiang Tian suddenly sneered, and his eyes were cold. Sun Jiao was stunned. Slap. Jiang Tian gave her a big slap in the face, not holding back at all as he slapped her on the tender and delicate face. Sun Jiao's delicate body was slapped askew, and a few clear red finger marks appeared on her crystal-clear face. Jiang Tian, why did you hit me? She was stunned and covered her swollen pink face. She felt wronged, and tears were glittering in her eyes. Jiang Tian, how can you hit people? Yeah. Sun Jiao has always treated you as a friend. How can you hit a girl? You're too ungentlemanly. Wu Zhirua and Luo Ziho were stunned, and then they shouted angrily. Friend? What kind of friend is she? Jiang Tian said disdainfully, full of mockery. You've been whispering behind my back, insulting me and the veterans. Do you think I didn't hear you? Jiang Tian narrowed his eyes and pointed at Sun Jiao's nose and scolded. But the veterans were there just now. I was afraid that I would ruin their mood, so I didn't hit you. Do you really think I, Jiang Tian, am a fool? Jiang Tian was angry. How domineering was Jiang Tian? The surrounding temperature suddenly dropped, and a monstrous pressure fell from the sky. Sun Jiao trembled in fear and stepped back. Her pretty face was as white as paper. Jiang Tian was not done yet. He said coldly, you can insult me. I, Jiang Tian, am not a great person. But what right do you have to insult those veterans who shed blood for the motherland? This slap is for those veterans. If you dare to do this again, I'll skin you alive. After saying that, he walked away. Jiang Tian, you dare to hit me, you dare to hit me. I won't let you off. Sun Jiao was stunned for a long time. Suddenly, she waved her hands and shouted at Jiang Tian's back with tears in her eyes. That's too much. The mainlanders are too boorish. They're so arrogant. How dare they? Luo Ziho complained softly. Forget it, Jiao. For my sake, don't blame him. He's a mad dog. Can you lower yourself to his level? Besides, he knows Fang Gui. What can you do? Wu Zhirua hugged Sun Jiao and patted her shoulder. She gently persuaded her, coaxing and scaring her. How could Fang Gui know him? He's just lucky today. Luo Ziho looked at Wu Zhirua with jealousy and hatred. He looked at Wu Zhirua and said, it must be because and society made such a big commotion that it alarmed Fang Gui. Fang Gui is an official after all. Out of work, he comforted the victim. In short, he's a loser. Sun Jiao's eyes were filled with tears. Her face was full of resentment. She gritted her teeth and said, no matter what, I won't let him off. I'll make him regret this slap. Does he really think I'm easy to bully? I'll agree to that person's pursuit this time. I'll ask him to help me kill Jiang Tian. Whose pursuit did you agree to? Wu Zhirua asked curiously. Sun Jiao didn't say anything. She just sneered. Her eyes were scary, as if she had changed into another person. It can't be him, right? Jiao, let Jiang Tian off. Wu Zhirua's heart skipped a beat. Her face turned pale. That person was not someone Jiang Tian could afford to offend. He was definitely 10 times scarier than before. That night, at Peninsula Hotel, a few men and women appeared in front of Jiang Tian's room. The leader of the group was an old man in a suit. He was slightly bald and wore a pair of black-rimmed glasses. He was the richest man in Hong Kong, supermanly. The other person was wearing a dark suit with a white shirt. His hair was neat and tidy. He was dressed like a civil servant. He was the Hong Kong Police Commissioner, Fang Gui. There was also a young couple, Li Zhikai and Fang Minxia. They followed closely behind. Li Zhikai knocked on the door. Su Zishuan opened the door from the inside. They tidied their clothes and walked in slowly. Greetings, deity Jiang. Once Superman Li entered the room, he kneeled down and kowtowed to Fang Minxia. Fang Minxia was shocked by his actions. Mr. Li, you don't have to be so polite. I'm looking for you today because I need your help. Jiang Tian walked up and helped him up. He then glanced at everyone and said, "Everyone, please take a seat. Grandmaster Jiang, if there's anything I can do to help, please feel free to instruct me." This disciple will not refuse. Superman Li only dared to sit on the sofa. As for Li Zhikai, the most powerful young master in Hong Kong, he was just serving tea in this kind of situation. Superman Li was very humble. He knew when to stop and when to stop. This was also the reason why Jiang Tian asked him to come over and not Macau's gambling king, He Hongqian, or any other tycoons in Hong Kong. Jiang Tian went straight to the point and said calmly, "That's right. I want to get rid of the mafia in Hong Kong. And Club, No Numbers Gang and Hu Yen Sheng." As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place fell into a dead silence. Superman Li's mouth moved a few times but he did not say anything. "Jiang Tian, you're still talking nonsense," Fang Minxia subconsciously wanted to retort. Fang Gui stared at her and forced her to swallow her words. He then smiled bitterly and said, "Master Kong, I have been wanting to get rid of these mafia for a long time. But do you know, there are too many people and the law can't punish everyone, right?" Jiang Tian sipped the fragrant Mount Lu cloud mist tea and said faintly, and Club has 80,000 members and Hu Yansheng has 30,000 members. The leader of No Numbers Gang, Wei Duangong, is a British citizen. You don't have the right to enforce the law. And there are only 29,200 police officers in Hong Kong and less than 5,000 civilian staff. Once you execute a beheading or arrest operation, it will cause chaos in Hong Kong, right? Since Mr. Jiang knows, why are you still? Fang Gui was puzzled and shook his head. Director Fang, do you know that Huaxia has a very flexible police system? Jiang Tian smiled mysteriously. What is it? Fang Gui asked. It's called auxiliary police. Jiang Tian said seriously. I have heard of it. Fang Gui did not know whether to laugh or cry. Auxiliary police, in the mainland, were also called joint defense team members, glorious scapegoats. Cough cough, this kind of Huaxia system was not standard. But suddenly, he realized something. His eyes lit up and he slapped his thigh. Mr. Jiang, don't tell me you want to. Yes, the big circle is mine. Jiang Tian smiled and said, the big circle has 80,000 people in America. In addition, there is also the Fu Qing gang. I can give you 100,000 auxiliary police. Is that enough? At this time, Li Zhikai subconsciously trembled and did not even notice that the tea had splashed on his hand. Fang Gui's face also revealed an inexplicable smile. Li Zhikai was once kidnapped by Zhang Ziqiang, the thief of the century, and Zhang Ziqiang was a member of the Big Circle. In addition, there was also the King of Thieves, Yi Jihuan. In 1984 and 1991, he robbed many gold shops in Tsim Sha Tsui and many gold watch shops in Central with an AK-47. His actions were swift and his shooting was accurate. Moreover, he was caught on camera and shocked the entire Hong Kong. With this as a backboard, many movies were made in Hong Kong. In addition, there was also Ji Bingxiong, codenamed Businessman, who met Yi Jihuan in prison in 1984. After he was released from prison, he bought a lot of firearms and fought with the Hong Kong police for many years. The Big Circle, who once killed many people in Hong Kong and made the Hong Kong police embarrassed, was now cooperating with the Hong Kong police to crack down on illegal gangs. This sounded like a fantasy story. Was it possible? Chapter 712. When Ji Bingxiong was escorted to the magistrate's court in 2003, the Hong Kong police had deployed more than 100 officers, 20 traffic police officers, and assault team members. In addition, there were about 40 organized crime and triad investigation department agents on standby. It could be said that the Great Circle had left a deep psychological shadow on the Hong Kong police. It was a nightmare. They called it the provincial flag soldier, with mixed feelings. In short, the Great Circle was much more terrifying than the local gangs like E and Society. Now that the Great Circle had entered Hong Kong, would it attract the tiger and the wolf? Jiang Tian, so you're the boss of the gang. You're not a good person. Fang Minxia rolled her eyes at Jiang Tian and said coquettishly. Don't be disrespectful to Mr. Jiang. Mr. Jiang's identity is not something you can guess. Fang Gui glared at her fiercely and said seriously, the Great Circle didn't have a good reputation, but now under Mr. Jiang's leadership, they have become a legal gang that protects the interests of the world's Chinese. They don't steal, rob, sell drugs, or deal in arms. It's the world's largest Chinese mutual aid organization. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, if Director Fang agrees, I'll let the Great Circle and fucking gang be your auxiliary police force to remove this tumor that has been entrenched in Hong Kong for decades. I've done a simple investigation. Xiang Qiangsheng didn't appear in person, so the police can't form a complete chain of evidence. That's right. Mr. Jiang's eyes are truly as sharp as a torch, as clear as fire. Fang Gui slapped his thigh and said, his agents are hiding in the United States, hiding their names. We can't even find them, let alone capture and extradite them. The Great Circle is over there. Give the information to my people, and I promise to help you find them in an hour. Jiang Tian waved his hand generously and said, there's no need to pay the Great Circle. They have hundreds of billions of dollars in assets, so they don't need this money. Just take it as getting rid of a pest for the people and paying back an old debt in Hong Kong. As for Wei Duangong's British nationality, it's not a problem. The British MI6 is very afraid of me now. If I want them to get rid of Wei Duangong, it's just a matter of a word. Fang Gui's thin and elegant face was very solemn. He pondered for a full minute, then stood up, bowed again, and said seriously and sincerely, Mr. Jiang, first of all, I must express my sincere gratitude to you. But this is a serious matter, and I'm afraid I can't make the decision. I'll give you an answer after meeting the chief executive and the director of the security bureau tonight. Maybe Director Fang is worried that these auxiliary police officers will stay in Hong Kong and form a new evil force. Jiang Tian nodded. I promise, I won't. They are now in America, in Sidonie. They have a better life. He then turned to Li Chao and said, Mr. Li, don't you have the Lantern Festival charity banquet? When the time comes, you can invite Wei Duangong, Xiang Qiangsheng, and the others to attend. Over the years, the three organizations have supported the island independence, fooled and manipulated the middle and lower classes, and incited the emotions of the people, which seriously affected the security of the society and the economic development. Superman Li put on a serious face and promised without hesitation. If Director Fang has no problem with this, the old man will definitely cooperate with you. Alright, it's just a small matter. You guys can go first. Jiang Tian smiled and asked them to leave. In Fang Minxia's eyes, Jiang Tian's effortless manner was a little unfathomable. Will this work? Why does it look like he is fooling around? Good night, Mr. Jiang. Rest early. They quickly got up and left. That night, in the wee hours of the morning, Jiang Tian, who was meditating, received a message from Fang Gui. This is a good idea. On behalf of the Hong Kong Police Force, the Security Bureau, the Special Administrative Region Government, and the 7.3 million people of Hong Kong, thank you, Mr. Jiang. You're welcome. We are fighting for the same goal. We all want our country to be more prosperous and the world to be a better place. Jiang Tian replied to the message and then called Sasaki Kaisha. De Huan and Fu Qing gang must be bored out of their minds. Come to Hong Kong and help me fight a gang fight. 3:00 the next afternoon. Sasaki Kaisha, Chen Yang, Song Jigang, and Su Yi got out of a bulletproof police car and walked into the building of the Security Bureau. Welcome, my friends from afar. Fang Gui and a group of Hong Kong officials in suits and leather shoes greeted them and shook hands with them. The greeting staff was higher than they expected. The head of the Security Bureau was the director of the Security Bureau. In the next few days, according to insiders, the Immigration Department of Hong Kong didn't sleep for days. The 30,000 members of the De Huan, who ranked second in the world and could fight with the Italian Mafia and the Russian Tomahawk, as well as the 10,000 members of the Fu Qing gang, sneaked into Hong Kong with passports from different countries. Although Xu Min and Xiang Qian were arrested for the fake Lan Fengyuan and the gang fight, they were bailed out and freed on the same day. Yi-En society was powerful and had many henchmen. Their henchmen immediately pleaded guilty to the charges of fake Lan Fengyuan and intentional injury. Coupled with their powerful legal team, the two of them would be able to get away with it. The Security Bureau and the police force's strategy to deal with Yi-En society was to relax on the outside and tighten on the inside. There was no need to arrest them and alert the enemy. Fang Gui even went to the Xiang family to apologize. After all, they were just ants. Xiang Qiangsheng was the most important target of the Hong Kong police. Repulse Bay was filled with luxurious mansions. Countless Hong Kong people dreamed of becoming the owner of one of these luxurious mansions. Because almost every owner of a mansion here was a top figure in Hong Kong. They were either rich or powerful. They were the real celebrities in Hong Kong, the real privileged class. The Xiang family's mansion was in Repulse Bay. It covered a large area and the crooked tree in front of the door was very unique. It grew like a greeting pine between the cliffs of the Yellow Mountains. The lush branches and leaves covered the door of two cars driving side by side, as if it represented the owner welcoming the guests. It had a deep meaning. After entering the mansion, there was a large garden. This garden was familiar to those who had never been to Hong Kong and had never seen Boss Xiang's luxurious mansion. Every year, Huaxing Film and Television would celebrate Boss Xiang's birthday in the garden. This quiet garden often appeared in the headlines of newspapers, magazines and entertainment media. At 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was the so-called afternoon tea time. In the garden, under the shade of the vines. She sat forward, trembling uneasily. She looked at her father, who was sitting there sipping tea, and reported softly. Xu Min, who was shining brightly on the cinema screen, felt aggrieved. Her face was full of tears as she complained to the man with a thin face. She also added some details that she didn't mention before. This man. A man who had appeared on the screen many times as a supporting role for superstars such as Brother F.A. and Andy. A man who had invested in many classic Hong Kong movies in the past 20 years. Even though he was old, most of the people in the 80s and even some in the 90s, when they saw this man's face, the first thing they thought of was a cool guy called Dragon Fifth in several classic Hong Kong movies. He also had another identity, the head of the Xiang family. The Xiang family was not as wealthy as the 4 new families in Hong Kong. In terms of political influence, they were not as influential as the 4 old families in Hong Kong. They did not have 100 years of heritage, nor did they have a red hat bestowed by the tycoons, let alone a large number of talents and international professional management. But this family, which was lacking in wealth and power, was able to make the entire Hong Kong tremble in fear. It originated from another name of the Xiang family, the Dragon Head family of Yi and Shi. In the underground world of Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, a dragon head symbolized supreme power. Sitting next to Mr. Xiang was Mr. Xiang, who was known for his bold and outspoken words in the media. Mr. Xiang, Zhang Lan, was often interviewed by the media with Xiang Qiangsheng. The couple showed off their love and repeatedly praised Xiang Qiangsheng for being faithful and valuing his family. In fact, this was all nonsense. It was just for publicity purposes. In Hong Kong, a big shot in the entertainment industry like Xiang Qiangsheng, who didn't have 3 wives and 4 concubines at the same table, and he even had a few small celebrities behind his back. He knows Paris Hilton. Rachel Marshall doesn't mean anything. After listening to his son and Shu Min's report, Mr. Xiang calmly sipped his tea and pondered for a moment. He shook his head and said, "Is he the nephew of Zhang Zhonggua in Yanjing?" The Hilton and Marshall families are all connected to the rich and powerful in Yanjing. It's not surprising that they would stand up for him because of the Zhang family. The key is Shu Min's wine cellar. It involves the interests of the Marshall family. Rachel will definitely stand up for her family's interests. But we can't tell how much influence that Jiang Gai has over the Marshall family. I've done my research. Zhang's biggest trump card should be the Zhang family in Yanjing. Fang Gui standing up for him can also prove this point. Xiang Qiangsheng's voice was mellow and he had an extraordinary temperament. He was not flustered in the face of danger. But Xiang Qiangsheng frowned and looked at Shu Min. His voice was deep, but it had a dignified tone. Shu Min's beautiful face turned pale with fright, and her delicate body trembled violently. Don't do your small business anymore. How much money do you make in a year? Do you even have 100 million? Don't lose the big picture for the small things and ruin your reputation. Yes, Mr. Xiang. I understand. Shu Min quickly lowered her head and promised, I won't do it again. Hubby, what should we do now? Our son was beaten up and Shu Min was arrested. The Xiang family's reputation has been tarnished. Mr. Xiang and Zhang Lan said angrily, if we don't do anything, everyone will think that we're easy to bully. How can we let them go? We have to teach this guy a lesson. Mrs. Xiang was also a celebrity when she was young. After marrying Xiang Qiangsheng, she stopped acting. But now, she was in her 50s and her body was slightly plump. Although she was dressed in branded clothes and jewelry, she didn't have a graceful aura. Instead, she looked a little fierce. She scolded, that Jiang Gai, he's just a poor guy from the mainland. How dare he beat up my precious son? He must be tired of living. I'll find a few gunmen to kill him. Chapter 713. Xiang Tai was very hot-tempered. She was the one who had insulted Stephen Chow so much that he didn't dare to talk back. My informant in the police force said that the Hong Kong police didn't do anything strange these days. Xiang Qiangsheng sneered and said, Fang Gui is nothing to worry about. He won't dare to touch the Xiang family just because of the lack of police force. He leaned back on the round-backed chair with a relaxed posture, brimming with strong confidence. If Fang Gui dares to touch me, Hong Kong will be in chaos during the investigation, not to mention the court proceedings. By then, even the security chief and the chief executive won't be able to answer to Yanjing. What Yanjing wants is stability, prosperity, economic development, and social stability. They don't want us to have no place to live. I knew it. Why are you afraid of that Jiang Gai? Fang Chang's face was still swollen and bruised. When he thought of how Jiang Tian and the others had beaten him up, he gritted his teeth and said fiercely, I'll call a few international assassins to kill them. Don't be rash. Xiang Qiangsheng raised his hand to stop him. Fang Gui has his eyes on you now. We are respectable people. How can we have blood on our hands? Then what should we do? Zhang Lan said unhappily, my baby son can't be beaten for nothing. Who are we? When did those mainland people dare to bully us? How can we just let it go? Of course not. Xiang Qiangsheng stood up with his hands in his pockets. He looked down at the vast bay and said coldly, the Xiang family has been in Hong Kong for decades. We rely on our prestige and power to make people afraid of us. No one dares to provoke us. His simple action of straightening his back made him brim with a powerful aura, revealing his absolute confidence. The theory is simple, but it's hard to do. We have to snatch the meat from the four big families' mouths and retract our mouths before the regulators react. His voice was cold and solemn as he said, but no matter what, if no one is afraid of us, how can we make money? Since those brats from the mainland want to cause trouble, they should make it bigger. Contact He Yansheng's leader, Yang Shoucheng. Let's beat that Li Huiyan up together and let her stink the streets of Huaxia's entertainment circle. Also, doesn't Wei Hongliang, the prince of the number gang, like to mess with female celebrities? Xiangqian, ask him to join us. This way, when the time comes, it will be the number gang, Hu Yansheng, and and society that will declare war on these mainland kids. Fang Gui dares to protect those few mainland kids. Then let's throw Central Circle into chaos again. Wei Hongliang's father, Wei Duangong, had gotten a green card from the United Kingdom and became a British citizen. He is the representative of the remaining British colonists in Hong Kong. If things get out of hand, they will get political asylum from the United Kingdom. His eyes were filled with contempt as he said disdainfully, Fang Gui, the Hong Kong police, and those Chinese bastards, there's nothing we can do. That afternoon, the entire Xiang clan began to move. The Xiang family had been established in Hong Kong for decades, and they were especially influential in the entertainment industry and among the middle and lower class workers. A single word from them could be devastating. This kind of power was based on violence, but it was also legal. This allowed the Xiang family to negotiate and talk to many powerful people. In the past, even Superman Li, a business tycoon, would not dare to offend the Xiang family. Even the police had to swallow their anger. The next day, many powerful people in Hong Kong started a media war to slander Li Huiyan. It turned out that the second largest film and television company in Hong Kong, Emperor Film Group, had invested in an action movie called Women's Secret Service. Li Huiyan and Xu Min were the first and second female leads respectively. At this time, Emperor Film Group gathered the media and released a statement saying that Li Huiyan refused to participate in any promotional activities during the filming process. Furthermore, Li Huiyan, along with 8 assistants and 2 bodyguards, had brought a lot of financial pressure to the crew. She also demanded the director to delete the scenes of other actors and actresses. When the news was released, immediately, many Hong Kong celebrities sided with Xu Min and the Xiang family and denounced Li Huiyan. Everyone in the industry knows that Xu Min is a humble and hardworking actress, and Li Huiyan is just like her. We support Min Min. Some famous Hong Kong directors who were famous for their gambling films made such a statement. We support Min Min. Sister Min is an upright and kind person. An actress from Huaxing posted on Weibo. I have worked with Sister Min in 2 movies. Sister Min is a kind and easygoing person. I didn't expect her to be bullied. Maybe this is what they mean by kind people get bullied. A famous Hong Kong action movie star, Dan Gu, said in an interview with the media. When I was still an extra, Sister Min was already the top actress. But Sister Min never looked down on me. She was very concerned about me and encouraged me. She said, although you are not famous now, you have your own style. You have to work hard. Without Sister Min's encouragement, I would not have persevered until now. I didn't expect that someone would bully and hurt such a kind person like Sister Min. Some female celebrities from Hong Kong cried for Xu Min in front of the cameras. The film and television industry in China is backward and has not formed a more scientific system of directors and producers. They only listen to celebrities. A famous film critic spoke with certainty in the media, a celebrity like Li Huiyan is a big deal. It is not a big deal for her to affect a movie. What is worse is that if her evil deeds are not stopped, it will cause the film and television industry to regress. If a movie's production is decided by the celebrities and movie tycoons, and not by the production team, then I can only say that it's a tragedy for the film industry. Maybe, Huaxia will never have an advanced film and television industry like Hollywood. Suddenly, a few hundred celebrities and big shots in the film and television industry posted their opinions. It was as if Li Huiyan had become the black sheep of the entire industry. Huaxing Pictures, which was controlled by the Xiang family, had produced many blockbuster movies. For example, the famous Brother F.A., Lord Chow, Andy, and many others were all made famous by them. Every year, Xiang Qiangsheng's birthday party would be attended by a few hundred celebrities. It was even grander than the Golden Horse Award ceremony. That was how influential they were in the film and television industry in Hong Kong. In the eyes of the outside world, King Ying Pictures was competing with Huaxing Pictures. But that was not the case at all. In fact, King Ying Pictures and Huaxing Pictures had been working together to monopolize the film and television industry in Hong Kong. That was because the boss of King Ying Pictures, Yang Shoucheng, was one of the leaders of the third largest secret society in Hong Kong. To put it bluntly, he was Xiang Qiangsheng's little brother. They had worked together to control Hong Kong's underground world. Yang Shoucheng controlled the entire cast of Women's Secret Service Squad, so he could defame Li Huiyan easily. Together, he and Xiang Qiangsheng could control the entire film and television industry in Hong Kong. Together, they could bully Li Huiyan. However, the public did not know what was going on. Many people followed their idols blindly. Soon, tens of thousands of people were scolding Li Huiyan on Weibo. Other than that, Xu Min and the Xiang family had also hired a lot of internet water army to hype up the incident and make it the headlines of all major media outlets. Some of Xu Min's extreme supporters even went to Li Huiyan's address in China. They placed wreaths, lit candles, played sad music, and even splashed ink on Li Huiyan's house. When Li Huiyan's mother went out to buy groceries, she was knocked down by Xu Min's fans and was sent to the hospital with a broken leg. But in the hospital, there were still fans blocking and swearing. "Huiyan, how did you offend so many people? We've earned enough money. Don't make movies. You must pay attention to safety." Li's father is also a working class. Li Huiyan's development has been smooth in recent years. He never thought that such a situation would happen. He was frightened and called Li Huiyan with a crying voice. Li Huiyan is a low-key person and has few friends in the circle. Except for Tang Yuyu and other little flowers in the same company who speak for her, there are few supporters. Huiyan's bodyguards and followers are all at their own expense. How can it cause any economic pressure? Zhao Chenzi clarified like this. But immediately there was a wave of water army, and the speech was drowned out. But some netizens are very smart. They realize that this should be an organized and premeditated activity of splashing dirty water. Hong Kong stars join hands to deal with domestic stars and bully people. Is your Xu Min a good thing? His face is covered with the liquid of thousands of spectators. Jiang Chao is also a big V on Weibo. In his anger, he dug up the black material of Xu Min's early shooting of restricted films. He also posted Xu Min's 5:00 photos and showed his might in the street under her Weibo. Xu Min was greatly agitated. After posting, "What you say is not what you think in your heart, and what you do is not what you think in your heart, bye-bye," she deleted all her Weibo posts and deleted her account at the same time. She also went to the park to meet friends and was accidentally photographed by the media to cry and weep and look haggard. It is the feeling of grievance and sadness to the extreme, and it also wins the support and sympathy of fans. Min, don't cry. We will vent our anger for you. Curse Li Huiyan to death. Look for her black material. That is, scold her to death. Dare to bully our sister Min. Boycott all of Li Huiyan's works. Li Huiyan is a tyrant, a black sheep of the entertainment circle. The fans were heartbroken. Their fighting spirit was surging and crazy, and they wantonly attacked Li Huiyan. At this time, a few Chinese directors and artists who had worked with Xu Min or had a good relationship with the Xiang family and Huaxing Film all supported Xu Min. They even posted their own nude photos. Freedom of the body, no crime in nudity. Li Huiyan, do you have any shame? You actually hired an internet water army to scold people. You don't have many fans. Back and forth, there are only a few newly registered internet water army. I really pity you. Many Chinese celebrities also stood on Xu Min's side and scolded Li Huiyan for their own interests. Feng Xiaopao, one of the top directors in China, who was famous for his New Year movie, scolded Jiang Chao and the Chinese netizens who supported Li Huiyan. Calling you beasts is an insult to the word beasts. He even tagged Jiang Chao. Feng Xiaopao continued to scold Jiang Chao and other Li Huiyan's allies who were loyal to protect Xu Min. The netizens jokingly called him Protector Xu Bao. The scolding war lasted for 3 days, and it was getting more and more intense. Overall, Li Huiyan was in a weak position and was bullied badly. She was like a rat crossing the street that everyone wanted to beat. Chapter 714. Bai Qiufei was putting out fires everywhere. This incident caused quite a stir in Jiang Tian's camp. In the end, many people heard about it. "I'll ban them completely." Zhang Huchen was very angry. He claimed that he would ban the Weibo accounts of these stars and delete related news. "We were in the right in this matter. Deleting the Weibo account will make us look guilty." Li Huiyan shook her head, looking very strong. However, she had dark circles under her eyes and looked haggard. Obviously, she had been under a lot of pressure in the past 2 days. Should we tell Jiang Tian? Bai Qiufei really had no choice. The Xiang family was very powerful, not to mention that they had the support of Yang Shoucheng and others. In fact, his Tiange entertainment was also very influential. However, they had been developing in Asia and the United States recently. They had less cooperation with the mainland, so they didn't have so many supporters. However, if Li Huiyan was hurt, how could he explain it to Jiang Tian? He would be too ashamed to see him. Forget it. Jiang Tian seems to be investigating a strange case with Su Majai these days. He's very busy. Zhang Yilin shook her head gently. Let Chen Jinming solve it. Let's make an appointment with boss Yang Shoucheng and ask him to clarify. Well, boss Chen should be able to do it. Everyone nodded. Although Chen Jinming hadn't been in Hong Kong for long, he had made his name on Wall Street twice. He was familiar with all the big shots in Hong Kong's financial circle. Now, he had recruited his old enemies, the White Knight Fund and Fang Zhanbua. Fang Zhanbua and the White Knight Fund served these rich people in Hong Kong. He had also served as Superman Li's financial consultant and was quite influential in Hong Kong's financial circle. In particular, Yang Shoucheng was also involved in the business of clubs and casinos. He needed to launder money. He had cooperated with Fang Zhanbua for many years, so Fang Zhanbua could speak for him. Everyone dealt with this matter with a peaceful attitude, but they didn't expect to be tricked by Yang Shoucheng. The veterans' tour of Hong Kong ended and they left for the next stop. And Jiang Tian finally had time to investigate a few tricky cases that happened in Hong Kong recently with Su Majai and his grandson. It seems that the devil did come to Hong Kong. Those who were injured were all people with strong essence and special bones, or cultivators. Jiang Tian's face turned solemn. Master Kong, one of them is an initial transcendent state martial artist. Su Majai said worriedly, also, I heard that there were some strange deaths in Southeast Asia. Many of them are cultivators. Is there anyone from the Singapore Chinese Society? Jiang Tian turned around and asked. No. Su Majai shook his head. Looks like he's intentionally avoiding me because he's afraid that I'll notice. This brat is pretty good at enduring. Jiang Tian chuckled and narrowed his eyes. Jiang Tian took out his phone and asked Hua Qing Tian to use the power of the Taiqing sect and many of his allies to investigate this demon on a global scale. If there were any unusual movements, inform him immediately. But at this moment, Jiang Tian's phone suddenly rang. It was Li Huiyan. After asking, he found out that Chen Jin understood that something had happened to Qiufei. That day, Fang Zhanbua from the White Knight Foundation contacted Yang Shoucheng, the boss of Emperor Ying, and they agreed to meet at the Discovery Bay golf course. Chen Jinming took a break from his busy schedule and brought Bai Qiufei, Zhang Huchen, Li Huiyan, and Tang Yuyu and Zhao Qinzi from Tiange Entertainment. Fang Zhanbua accompanied them. Jiang Chao, Qing Yi, and Zhen Shuai had other arrangements and didn't show up that day. Every inch of land in Hong Kong was worth gold, but the Discovery Bay golf course was no slouch. It faced the sea and was surrounded by mountains on 3 sides. The course was perfect and had a wide field of view. When they arrived, Li Huiyan's agent was chatting with a few of the signed artists of Emperor Ying. Among them was the top actress of Emperor Ying who had appeared on the Spring Festival Gala. She was a superstar in the eyes of ordinary people. However, Bai Chou-fei had seen a lot of them in the past few years. He had made a lot of them famous, slept with a lot of them, and hit a lot of them. She wasn't worthy of his respect. When he walked over, he just nodded. Chen Jinming didn't even look at her. He had only interacted with socialites like Iris and Rachel before, so he didn't have such a small role. The point was that he was about to get married, and these female stars were no match for Jiang Lin. Mr. Fang, you are late. You have to punish yourself with 3 cups of wine today. Yang Shoucheng, the boss of Emperor Ying, had a thin face and a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. He didn't look like a boss of a club, but a cultured businessman. He talked and laughed with 2 friends and didn't come forward to greet them. He stood in the distance and looked arrogant. Mr. Yang, this is Mr. Chen from One Eye Fund on Wall Street, and this is Zhang Huchen from Yanjin. Fang Zhanbo walked forward and introduced them with a smile. I don't need to be introduced. We've met before. Bai Chou-fei reached out his hand and wanted to shake hands with Yang Shoucheng. Whoosh! Yang Shoucheng didn't even look at him and swung the club. Bai Chou-fei could only withdraw his hand awkwardly. Mr. Bai, what do you think? Just say it. Yang Shoucheng glanced at Bai Chou-fei with disdain and contempt in his eyes and said lazily. Emperor Ying Film had been established for 30 years, backed by the famous Hu Yansheng, a big tree with deep roots. How many days had it been since Bai Chou-fei's Tiange Entertainment was established? A few bumpkins from the mainland beat up Mr. Xiang and wanted to be arrogant in Hong Kong. They were far from being able to do that. They were simply courting death. Weren't they now apologizing and begging for mercy? I'm the meat on the chopping block, and you're the meat on the chopping block. I have the final say on how many cuts I want to make. Fang Zhanbo looked very embarrassed. He didn't expect Yang Shoucheng to be so disrespectful. This was not an equal negotiation at all. Mr. Yang, please be merciful and let us go. Bai Chou-fei suppressed his anger and bowed with a smile. Your company can terminate the contract and stop shooting Women's Secret Service Squad. We don't need to compensate for the loss, but don't scold us. Hui Yan just debuted, and today's achievements are not easy to come by. Don't ruin her. Yang Shoucheng looked arrogant and smiled without saying anything. Li Huiyan, aren't you very arrogant? You caught me and Mr. Xiang. You're quite capable, aren't you? Suddenly, an arrogant voice was heard, and a white electric golf scooter drove over. But now, I came out without losing a single hair. What about you? Why aren't you arrogant anymore? Shu Min got out of the car and walked over arrogantly in her high heels. Her face was full of disdain and mockery. Behind her, there were a dozen or so arrogant young men who spoke and acted as if they considered everything beneath their notice. Among them were Xiang Qian and Kai Xiaofei, the second young master of the Kai family who had been beaten by Zhang Huchen. Surrounded by a large group of friends, several top young masters from Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan walked over arrogantly. Seeing this, Fang Zhanbo, Chen Jinming and the others' faces changed. Bai Chou-fei and Zhang Huchen stared at Kai Xiaofei. Li Huiyan stared at Xiang Qian and Shu Min. And Fang Zhanbo stared at another young man who no one knew. This was the leader of this group of people, the most powerful person behind him, Wei Hongliang, the son of Wei Duangong, the leader of the Number Gang. The Number Gang was on par with Yi and society in Hong Kong. But in Europe, they were extremely influential. They were a powerful existence that could fight with the Italian mafia. In terms of global influence, the Number Gang surpassed the United Bamboo Gang and was only second to the Big Circle. Mr. Yang, we are negotiating. It's not very convenient for you to call so many people over. Fang Zhanbo was caught off guard. His smile was a bit stiff and he was annoyed. Yang Shoucheng, you are playing with me. Mr. Fang, I am also helpless. Yang Shoucheng shrugged innocently and said with a smile, you guys are making too much of a fuss in Hong Kong. You have offended too many people. Let me tell you, messing with Li Huiyan wasn't my idea alone. The Kai family and Xiang Qian have already made their move. Of course, you guys can't negotiate with me alone. So there are so many forces involved. No wonder you guys made such a big fuss. Zhang Huchen sneered with a vicious look in his eyes. Surrounded by Fang Cheng, Kai Xiaofei, and the others, Wei Hongliang walked over quickly with a strange smile. He didn't give Fang Zhanbua any time to think. Soon, the two groups of people approached each other. Young Lord Wei, I just told you about the awesome mainland brats. They are young Lord Bai and young Lord Zhang. Kai Xiaofei pointed at Bai Choufei and Zhang Huchen with a sinister smile. This is the mainland female star Li Huiyan. She went to Sister Shu's place 2 days ago and she was there. What do you think? She is pretty, right? Xiang Qian looked at Li Huiyan with a fake smile, like a cat looking at a mouse struggling under its claws. Another attendant pointed at Bai Choufei and said something. Wei Hongliang loudly said, oh, and then immediately revealed a strange smile. His ordinary and ugly face instantly revealed a few sinister grins. Bai Choufei glanced at him and thought, who is this guy? He is acting like he is the most arrogant person in the world. Before Bai Choufei and Chen Jinming asked, Wei Hongliang quickly approached them and looked at them from the corner of his eyes. Then his eyes fell on Li Huiyan and the two female stars behind the crowd and said with a smile, the three of them are your people, right? Let me have some fun for a few days, how about it? Li Huiyan will be fine in the future. Let me remind you, I hate it when you don't give me face the most. Young Lord Wei, these mainland guests are all my honored guests. Today, no matter what, you have to give me face. Your father Wei Duangong and I are old acquaintances. Fang Zhanbo went up to persuade him and acted as a peacemaker. Chairman Fang, do I need to give you face? If I give you face, do you dare to accept it? You are nothing more than an accountant. Get lost. Wei Hongliang frowned and shouted. His arrogance reached a new height and he was even more arrogant than Xiang Qian and Kai Xiaofei. He went around Fang Zhanbua and directly hugged the two women who reacted half a beat slower. One was petite and the other was mature. His hands directly touched them without the slightest scruple. It was as if all the women in the world were at his disposal. Savage. Disrespectful. Drag him into the hotel next door. Young Lord Wei. On the side, Xu Min sneered and ridiculed, happy to see this happen. Yang Shoucheng didn't act like an old man and just let it be. He even raised his thumb and praised him for being domineering, just like your old man back then. Meanwhile, Xiang Qian and Kai Xiaofei both laughed wildly. They were probably in Wei Hongliang's position. Xiao Yu screamed in fright. She hugged her chest and stood there in a daze with tears rolling down her face. The mature woman, Zhao Qinzi, had great strength and struggled to break free. On the side, Li Huiyan was burning with anger. The grievances she had suffered these days instantly erupted. Chapter 7:15. Throw your mother away, dare to hit me. Wei Hongliang was furious. He glared and scolded, pushed Tang Yuyu away, and kicked Li Huiyan fiercely. Things changed so suddenly that everyone was stunned. Qin Jinming was a weak scholar. He didn't expect the other side to be so vulgar and barbaric. Bai Choufei didn't expect this scene either. The entertainment circle is very dark, but no matter how hard you play, you won't force it. This man completely touched the bottom line. Fang Zhanbua didn't dare to move even if he reacted. He just roared loudly, but how dare he do it? But Zhang Huchen reacted quickly. After all, he had been in the National Security Agency and received physical training. He had also been in the underground world in Yanjing before. He knew all kinds of ugliness and had early warnings. At this time, His eyes were gloomy, and he didn't say a word. He pulled out a golf club and rushed forward. He waved the cue stick and smashed it towards Wei Hongliang's head. The cue stick cut through the air and made a whooshing sound. The momentum was terrifying. Wei Hongliang probably didn't expect the other side to be so fierce and straightforward. He subconsciously dodged sideways. He dodged the head, but not the shoulder. The solid carbon steel club hit directly on the shoulder and cut off one of his ears, which was bloody. Wei Hongliang was smashed to the ground, and his hand was bloody. He raised his ferocious and twisted face, one hand on the ground, the other hand pointed to Zhang Huchen and said angrily, "Kill him for me." More than 20 people swarmed up to Zhang Huchen and Kai Xiaofei's friends, as well as their bodyguards, besieged Zhang Huchen. There were also several people approaching the three girls, pulling and using force. At this point, Fang Zhanbua knew that persuasion was useless. The gray-haired man rolled up his sleeves and stopped them. The originally quiet golf course was in chaos. Zhang Huchen could fight better than ordinary people, but that was it. The other side came prepared this time, with a large number of professionally trained and even retired soldiers thugs, which made him passive in an instant. As for Qin Jinming and Bai Choufei, they went to the gym at most on weekdays and were even more defeated. They were trampled to the ground. Li Huiyan's hair was disheveled, and she crawled out of the crowd that was fighting against each other. She turned her head around and looked at her side, which was gradually losing. Once she got into an electric car, she panted and called Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian frowned when he heard Li Huiyan's panting and messy shouting, as well as her obviously frightened tone. After asking for the location, he immediately rushed to Discovery Bay Soccer Stadium. On the way, he didn't forget to call Cheng Yi and Jiang Chao to ask them to go and help. Half an hour later, Jiang Tian, Jiang Chao, Cheng Yi, and Zhen Shuai appeared at the entrance of Discovery Bay Golf Course almost at the same time. Jiang Tian's order to them was that he would take responsibility even if they killed him. By the time Jiang Tian arrived, Zhang Huchen and the other two had already ended their miserable fate of being abused. Although he wasn't seriously injured, his hair was messy and his body was stained with blood. Zhang Huchen's eyes were bleeding and swollen like a steamed bun. At this time, Xiang Qian suggested that everyone quickly leave, saying that there were two especially good fighters in this group who could defeat hundreds of people. If Wei Hongliang and Kai Xiaofei had stopped while they were ahead, they might have avoided the tragic fate that followed. So good at fighting. I have a fucking gun. However, Wei Hongliang was too arrogant. He laughed wildly and said, "I'll beat you up every time I see you in the future." After that, he didn't leave and played golf with Kai Xiaofei and the other young masters in high spirits. He really treated Qin Jinming, Chou Fei, and Zhang Huchen as pushovers. When Jiang Tian, Cheng Yi, Zhen Shuai, and Jiang Chao barged in, Li Huiyan and the others were persuading Qin Jinming and the other two to go to the hospital to check on their injuries and get treatment in time. However, the three of them didn't move. They sat in the car and looked at the arrogant Wei Hongliang and the others from afar, unwilling to leave just like that. "Brother-in-law, tell me, who did this?" Jiang Chao walked over quickly and looked at the injuries on Qin Jinming's face. His face was extremely cold as he suppressed his killing intent. "It's them." Without waiting for Qin Jinming to speak, Xiaoyu pointed at Wei Hongliang and the others in the distance. Jiang Tian, Jiang Chao, and Cheng Yi looked over at the same time. Coincidentally, Wei Hongliang and Kai Xiaofei looked over provocatively. "Damn, they're here so quickly." Xiang Qian was shocked, but he didn't move subconsciously. He felt that the other party wouldn't dare to do anything to Wei Hongliang. After all, the Wei family's influence was much stronger than the Xiang family's. What a scary gaze. Where did this person come from? However, when Yang Shouchen looked at Jiang Tian's gaze, he was shocked subconsciously. Jiang Tian's gaze was too cold and indifferent. It was as if an ancient fierce god was looking down at him. This kid must have killed before, and not just once. Only someone with blood-stained hands can be so indifferent. He had never seen such a cruel gaze before. It made his hair stand on end. God Jiang, it's not my fault. I didn't mean to bully you. Don't blame me. When Zhang Huchen was fighting with a group of Hong Kong tycoons, he was able to defeat them easily. However, when he saw Jiang Tian, he cowered like a mouse in front of a cat. He lowered his head in fear like a child who had done something wrong. He was afraid that Jiang Tian would beat him up. He was afraid that Jiang Tian would be disappointed. After knowing Jiang Tian's overwhelming power, he had been working hard to catch up with Chen Fan. He wanted to achieve something in his own way. If someone asked him about it one day, he would be able to brag that he was Jiang Tian's cousin. That way, he wouldn't embarrass Jiang Tian. You did well this time. Jiang Tian patted his shoulder. Some things were in the past. He had already forgiven Zhang Huchen. At least, he didn't mind it too much. Sometimes, people acted coldly and realistically because they couldn't do anything about it. You really don't blame me. This was the first time that Zhang Huchen had heard Jiang Tian's praise. In other words, he was acknowledged by Jiang Tian. For a moment, he had mixed feelings. His eyes turned red and he almost cried. He turned his head and wiped his tears silently. Let's go. Let's go find them. Jiang Tian's eyes turned cold. He and his buddies approached them with murderous intent. You guys, haven't you had enough? How dare you come over? A reckless young master from Hong Kong shouted with a golf club in his hand, blocking the path of Jiang Tiancheng and the others who were approaching. Suddenly, his vision blurred and his golf club was gone. Then, a powerful force hit him in the chest. He flew 5 or 6 meters away and fainted. Wei Hongliang and Kai Xiaofei were dumbfounded. The one who fell down was Wei Hongliang's childhood friend. His family was from a mafia family. He liked to fight in the underworld. He had won several gold belts in Macau and was known as the Invincible Iron Fist. However, in less than a second, Cheng Yi snatched his golf club and kicked him out of the way. Cheng Yi shook the club and calmly strode forward. Without Wei Hongliang's order, a group of people screamed and pounced on Cheng Yi and Jiang Chao. The fight started immediately. Zhang Huchen, Qin Jinming, and Zhen Shuai couldn't do anything. They screamed and screamed. Under Jiang Tian's guidance, Cheng Yi had reached the phenomenal success of the transcendent state and could be considered a grandmaster. Even a martial artist who had reached the transcendent stage of internal force couldn't withstand 1 or 2 moves from him, let alone these retired bodyguards. In just a few seconds, Cheng Yi and Jiang Chao defeated a dozen bodyguards and a few rich kids who tried to sneak up on them. Xiang Qian knew that these mainlanders were good fighters, so he ran very fast and temporarily avoided physical pain. While Wei Hongliang and Kai Xiaofei were stunned, Jiang Chao and Cheng Yi were already in front of them. Wait, my father is Wei Duangong. Wei Duangong of the Number Gang. You should have heard of him. Wei Hongliang was so scared that his face was paler than a corpse that had been dead for 3 days. He raised both of his hands and threatened. Oh. Cheng Yi nodded expressionlessly. Without saying a word, he swung the club towards Wei Hongliang's neck and smashed him to the ground. His strength was incredible. However, Cheng Yi didn't stop there. With a twist of his wrist, he swung the club from the bottom up. The club head accurately hit Wei Hongliang's face, and Wei Hongliang, who was about to fall, bounced up in the opposite direction. Wei Hongliang's face was torn open. His canine teeth fell out and his nose collapsed. Blood gushed out of his mouth and his face was disfigured. Jiang Chao took advantage of the opportunity and threw a side kick. Wei Hongliang's sternum was shattered, and he flew up like a football, right in front of Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian kicked Wei Hongliang's knees twice in a row. People around them heard a series of bone-cracking noises. It was a 5-hit combo. Wei Hongliang flew up miserably and flew back 7 or 8 meters. He crashed into the lawn like a dog falling on its face. This young master of the number gang probably never dreamed that he would encounter such a ruthless and fierce combo. He dared to target Bai Choufei, Qin Jinming, and Zhang Huqin. He was definitely not an idiot or an idiot. He did have the capital and confidence to be arrogant and domineering. He had a good father. When his father, Wei Duangong, returned to Hong Kong from Europe, the Hong Kong police and even the Security Bureau were always on guard. They couldn't arrest him and had to ensure that his father didn't have any accidents in Hong Kong. Even the chief executive was on pins and needles. Once the number gang, which dominated the European underground world, got angry, they might be able to set off a Jianghu storm in Hong Kong's political circle. Wei Hongliang's gradually losing consciousness didn't feel any pain or humiliation, only a trace of satisfaction. No matter who it was, anyone who touched him would die. Boy, you're in trouble. Everything happened too fast. It was only at this moment that Yang Shoucheng finally reacted, pointing at Jiang Tian and the others in shock and anger. Slap. What he got was a slap in the face. Jiang Tian stepped forward and slapped him to the ground. His voice was full of mockery. Trouble? Let me tell you, Yang Shoucheng, you're in trouble. Jiang Tian's voice was cold and stern. Number gang, E and Club, and Lian Sheng, right? I will remove all of you from Hong Kong in 3 days. Next to him, the top sister of Emperor Ing was so shocked that her body trembled. She couldn't believe that Jiang Tian was arrogant. Yang Shoucheng had once stuffed a golf ball into her nether regions and made her bleed. She was also made famous by Yang Shoucheng, so she probably had Stockholm Syndrome. In her eyes, Yang Shoucheng was omnipotent in Hong Kong, not to mention that he had the support of the number gang and E and Club. However, the young man in front of her said that he would remove the 3 biggest gangs in Hong Kong. What the young man said meant that he was going to wipe out all the gangs that had been in Hong Kong for hundreds of years. Dream on. Chapter 716. Good, Jiang Tian, you are dead meat this time. Xu Min, on the other hand, was shocked and frightened. She smiled as if her plan had worked. Xiang Qiangsheng's intention was to make this a big deal. This mainland young man really didn't know what was good for him. He didn't disappoint everyone and made a big deal out of it. Very good. Very good. He had beaten Wei Hongliang and slapped Yang Shoucheng. Although he was impressive, he had also formed a grudge. At this moment, the other 2 clubs couldn't wait to skin this mainland brat alive. The ambulance rushed to the scene and sent the injured to the hospital. However, under Yang Shoucheng's order, no one called the police. There were rules in Jianghu, and people in Jianghu had their own way of solving problems. If someone called the police after being bullied or beaten, it would be even more laughable. After the ambulance left, most of the noisy crowd left. Only a few people were left. Fang Zhanbo and his female assistant stood side by side. Fang Zhanbo was in his 60s, but he still looked like a middle-aged man. He frowned and glanced at the young men under the shade from time to time. He had to admit that he was getting old. The spirit and fighting spirit of the past were gone forever. If he was the one who beat up young Lord Wei, he would probably be on tenterhooks right now. He would have called countless people to mediate the situation. He would even take the risk of going to Wei Hongliang's house and ask for forgiveness. No matter what, he wouldn't be in the mood to smoke and chat. Was he so ignorant that he didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth? Or maybe Qin Jinming and his friends were so powerful that they could look down on the rich and powerful in Hong Kong. Fang Zhanbo narrowed his eyes and looked at the 3 people under the shade. He couldn't figure out what they were thinking. The female assistant next to her glanced at her boss. She wanted to say something but hesitated. Fang Zhanbo glanced at her and said, "Do you want to know what I am thinking?" "Boss, I don't dare to ask you what you are thinking." "Then I guess you want to know." Fang Zhanbo looked at the female trader that he had trained and took a deep breath. He said, "I am thinking about which side I should take. Nowadays, people talk about moderation. I think it's best not to offend either side. You know the background of the Wei family. Young Master Zhang and young Master Jiang don't seem to be simple either. The female assistant, who was known as the new queen of Hong Kong's financial circle, frowned and carefully interjected. Fang Zhanbo shook his head. Women, after all, had long hair but short insight. It was too simple to not offend either side. He could only take a gamble now. The news of Wei Hongliang, the son of Wei Duangong, the leader of the numbered gang, being beaten until he was crippled, the crown prince of Yi and Club, Xiangqian, and the leader of Liansheng, Yang Shoucheng, being slapped. The news spread across the upper class of Hong Kong in an instant. It was like a stone that caused 1,000 ripples, causing a huge uproar. After 1997, many people, including the low-level gangsters, felt that the number gang, which had been supported by the British colonists and MI6, had gone into decline. They thought that the current underground world of Hong Kong was dominated by the Yi and society. However, not many people knew that until today, more than 7,000 tea houses, restaurants, and entertainment venues in Hong Kong had paid the protection fee to the number gang on time every month, and more than 1,000 operating vehicles in Hong Kong had paid the protection fee without any qualms. The number gang was also involved in profiteering businesses such as prostitution, gambling, and drugs. The number gang, which had more than 200,000 members in the world, had never really left Hong Kong. They had already infiltrated every aspect of Hong Kong's society, but they had become more discreet. But now, a few Chinese bastards had declared war on the three major gangs. Did they want to die? Even Wei Duangong can drink and chat with the chief executive and the chief of police. These Chinese bastards will be brought to justice. Someone guessed. Nope. I heard that one of them is the Crown Prince of Yanjin. The chief executive and the police are on Yan Jin's side no matter what. Someone in the know commented. Sure enough, the police did not hold a press conference or release any news. It was as if the incident had never happened. However, these people were just ordinary tycoons. They did not know much about the world of cultivation and the supernatural forces. Their speculations and judgments were limited to this level, so they did not notice the existence of Jiang Tian. Fang Zhanbo, Yang Shoucheng, and Xiang Qiangsheng, who had just been discharged from the hospital, opened a bottle of red wine and chatted while drinking. Brother, why are you still hesitating? Boss Xiang's voice was mellow and deep, but it was sharp and piercing. Jie Zai was beaten up, and I can tolerate it. But they dared to mess with my woman, and I can tolerate it. But now, Wei Hongliang was beaten up, and he is Wei Duangong's son. Wei Duangong, the powerful man in Europe, rarely comes to Hong Kong, but he is here this time. You and I both know that everyone in Hong Kong, including you and me, will give him face. Also, Wei Duangong was invited by Superman Li to attend the Lantern Festival charity banquet. Can't you tell what kind of signal this is? This means that Superman Li and the other 4 influential families in Hong Kong are afraid of the 3 major gangs. This also means that our resistance and manipulation over the years have worked. We have won the chance to sit at the negotiating table with Yan Jin. Moreover, the Chinese tycoons had bullied the Chinese tycoons in this conflict. Who is right and who is wrong is secondary. The most important thing is that Hong Kong's tycoons will unite against the Chinese tycoons, whether it is because of the old xenophobic ideology or because of Wei Duangong's influence. You, on the other hand, are making friends with a few Chinese tycoons. Isn't this going against the law? Do you still want to do your money laundering business? It was not an exaggeration to say that Chin Fan was going against the law. At the Discovery Bay golf course, other than Wei Hongliang and a dozen bodyguards, there were also a dozen young men who were injured. All of them were the sons of the rich and powerful in Hong Kong. Jiang Tian's action was like a slap to the faces of Hong Kong's tycoons. After Xiang Qiangsheng finished talking, he picked up his coffee and took a sip. At the same time, he stared at Fang Zhanbo, waiting for his reply. Fang Zhanbo was a tycoon in Hong Kong's financial circle. However, To Xiang Qiangsheng, he was just an accountant who laundered money for the tycoons. In the past, whenever Fang Zhanbo saw him, he would tremble with fear, as if he was walking on thin ice. But now, Fang Zhanbo looked at him with a half-smile. Mr. Xiang, who do you think Hong Kong belongs to? Of course it belongs to the people of Hong Kong. Xiang Qiangsheng said matter-of-factly. Fang Zhanbo said with a half-smile, the people of Hong Kong rule Hong Kong and they are highly autonomous. That is true, but don't forget that the people of Hong Kong are the ones who gave them the right to rule Hong Kong. As he spoke, he raised his finger and pointed at a valuable tree in the north corner of the garden that was worth more than $100,000. However, no matter who was present, they all understood what Fang Zhanbo meant. He was pointing at the ancient imperial city that was thousands of miles away. Boss Xiang, E and Club, Number Gang, and Hu Yansheng are taking a big risk by hiding behind the scenes. Fang Zhanbo smiled and said, every year, you have received a lot of financial support from the United Bamboo Gang and the British tycoons. If this thing is exposed to the public, Yan Jin will not let you off the hook. Fang Zhanbo, what do you mean? Xiang Qiangsheng's eyes suddenly turned cold and murderous. Boss Xiang, we have worked together for so many years. Listen to me. The economy is doing well and everyone is united. Don't make a mistake. Fang Zhanbo let out a wry smile and said, also, Zhang Huchen, whom you've offended this time, is a noble from Yanjin. He's a red roof merchant. If you want to save your life and the Xiang family, you should be working with them instead of fighting back. I know, he is Zhang Zhongguo's son. But the Zhang family has not even made it to the Chang family. What kind of tycoon is he? Xiang Qiangsheng said with disdain. At this time, the female assistant walked to Fang Zhanbo's ear and whispered a few words in a mysterious tone. Fang Zhanbo's furrowed brows suddenly relaxed. He got up and finished the cold coffee in his cup. It was the California Financial Group and Sidoni who worked with Chen Jinming to short the European Union. And it was Master Kong who defeated the French. He was Chen Jinming's childhood friend, Jiang Tian. Fang Zhanbo's mind was filled with all kinds of information from the female assistant. He smiled calmly. Xiang Qiangsheng and the others thought that Chen Jinming had Zhang Huchen and the Zhang family of Yan Jin behind him, so they had a chance of winning. But now, Jiang Liguo was also involved. Then there was no chance for him to turn the tables. Who was Fang Zhanbo's backer? Jiang Liguo was the real tree that could block the wind and rain, not the small tree that could stir up trouble in a small place. Chapter 717. Fang Zhanbo put down his cup of coffee and smiled. Mr. Xiang, listen to me. You should stop now. If not, you will regret it. Fang Zhanbo, do you think you can scare me? Xiang Qiangsheng waved his hand and asked Qin Xiaobei to leave. A few Chinese bastards will make me regret it. Fang Zhanbo, if you want to leave, then leave. But you will regret your betrayal. The Xiang family had contributed a lot to Hong Kong's return. We were the ones who stabilized the society in Hong Kong. The Zhang family of Yan Jin might not be as powerful as the people behind me. Oh. Fang Zhanbo was unfazed by Xiang Qiangsheng's words. His eyes were filled with mockery. He would not tell Xiang Qiangsheng the news that he had spent so much effort to gather. A storm was brewing. Soon, it was clear whether or not these people from the mainland that they looked down on were worth befriending. The next day, Superman Li's family and the Central Joint Office announced the Lantern Festival charity dinner. Wei Duangong, Xiang Qiangsheng, and Yang Shoucheng were on the list of VIP guests. They were even on the same list as Xiao Shikuan and the other family heads. When the news was released, the entire upper class of Hong Kong was in an uproar. In the past, the Lantern Festival charity dinner was organized by the Central Joint Office and co-organized by the influential families in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Macau. The Central Joint Office was the liaison office of the central government in Hong Kong. It represented the central government and carried out all kinds of duties assigned by the central government. It was a highly political organization. The Lantern Festival Charity Dinner was a major event in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. The director of the Central Joint Office, the chief executive, the director of security, the four most influential families in Hong Kong, Macau's gambling king He Hongqian, Taiwan's Wan family, and many other influential families would all attend the dinner. It could be said that celebrities were as numerous as the clouds, and crowns were like rain. Other than the 1997 Lantern Festival Charity Dinner, no one from the three major societies had ever been invited to the Lantern Festival Charity Dinner. Now that he was actually inviting him, the signal was clear and thought-provoking. It had a profound meaning and was carefully interpreted by many people. The three major societies are finally back on land. This is Yanjing's side offering amnesty and compromising. A tycoon slapped his thigh and said, "Both parties will negotiate with each other. Just like 1997, the three major societies will get more benefits. They might even become one of the most influential families in Hong Kong. They will be on par with Superman Lee." A smart old tycoon said. From what I see, it's those young masters from the mainland who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. They don't even know what this fight means. Their parents couldn't bear the pressure anymore. We have no choice but to clean up their mess and lower our heads to the Wei and Xiang families. We have no choice but to let the Central Joint Office mediate. The parents and relatives of the young master who had been beaten shook their heads and commented. They disdained Jiang Tian and the others. The higher-ups are giving in. Looks like our campaign is working. Hong Kong will always belong to us. There were also far-right elements who celebrated and treated Xiang Qiangsheng, Wei Duangong, and Yang Shouqing as heroes. Li Huiyan is done for. Do you really think that Hong Kong people are pushovers? Now that the mainlanders have given in, it looks like she's really done for. There were also people in the entertainment industry who were gloating over Li Huiyan's misfortune. They thought that Li Huiyan's future was bleak and she would be shelved. Wu Zhirua, who was paying close attention to this news, was very annoyed. Every piece of news was like a 1,000-pound boulder pressing down on her heart, suffocating her. In the end, Wu Zhirua couldn't take it anymore and invited Jiang Tian to meet her. Wu Zhirua and Jiang Tian sat across from each other in a cafe not far from the Peninsula Hotel. Many years ago, when Jiang Tian and Wu Zhirua went on a blind date, it was at this very cafe. Wu Zhirua purposely chose this place to meet Chen Fan. Her intention was self-evident. Jiang Tian, you should leave Hong Kong now. Wu Zhirua hesitated for a while and said. She said this for Jiang Tian, and even more for the Wu family. After all, many people knew that the Wu family and the Jiang family of Jinlin City had been friends for 3 generations. If the 3 major societies wanted to make a move, they would not let the Wu family off the hook. In their eyes, the Wu family was like an ant that could be squashed easily. This has nothing to do with you, right? Jiang Tian's eyes were indifferent. After spending a few days together, he had seen through Wu Zhirua's character. He was too lazy to say anything more. Sigh. Wu Zhirua heaved a sigh. She reached out her hand and held Jiang Tian's big hand. Her eyes flashed with gentleness and sympathy. She said earnestly, Brother Jiang Tian, I really don't want to see you being tortured to death by them. Just listen to me this once. Don't worry, I won't. Jiang Tian gently pulled his hand out of her hand. If you stay here any longer, you will die. Wu Zhirua said calmly but firmly. Wei Duangong's son was crippled by Jiang Tian. Obviously, this matter would not be settled so easily. The guest list for the Lantern Festival charity banquet had been announced. Wei Duangong, Xiang Qiangsheng, and Yang Shouqing were all on the list. However, the Li family and the Joint Office of the Central Committee did not invite Jiang Tian. With such an obvious signal, wasn't the meaning clear as day? This meant that Li Zhikai had completely given up on Jiang Tian and would never protect him. If that was the case, Jiang Tian would be alone in Hong Kong. He Liansheng, and Club, and Number Gang, which one of them was not powerful? If they joined forces and turned Hong Kong into a battlefield, even the Hong Kong police would be hard-pressed. If they wanted to crush Jiang Tian, it would be as easy as blowing off dust. Zhang Huchen was a member of the Zhang family, so he might be fine. Chen Jinming was an American citizen, so he might be fine. But Jiang Tian, who would care about a worthless person like him? If you die, how sad will Uncle Jiang and Auntie Zhang be? You want me to think about it carefully. Wu Zhirua said helplessly. Are you here to persuade me or to warn me? Jiang Tian said with a faint smile. It's up to you. Wu Zhirua's face turned cold. Wu Zhirua, you don't even know who you are talking to. Jiang Tian said disdainfully, do you know what you've been through all these years? What kind of power do you have now? Do you really think that I will die in their hands? Jiang Tian, I admit that I have underestimated you. I didn't expect you to be a relative of the Zhang family in Yanjin. You didn't even mention it back then. Wu Zhirua smiled and said, but compared to these powerful people in Hong Kong. Jiang Tian, you should be more realistic. A wealthy family is a wealthy family after all. She was very calm and rational as she spoke softly. You were just messing around with them before, but now that you have crippled Wei Hongliang, they are going to do it for real. No matter what tricks you have up your sleeve, even if you are a feng shui master, you are no match for them. You can't afford to mess with them. I can't mess with them. Jiang Tian smiled and said, is there anyone in this world that I, Jiang Tian, can't mess with? Zhirua, you have underestimated me, Jiang Tian. You think too highly of those trash. Your so-called wealthy family is just a bunch of gangsters. They are not even a speck of dust in my eyes. In Wu Zhirua's ears, Jiang Tian's words were already crazy. He was already babbling nonsense. That's right. Jiang Tian was crazy before. No matter what kind of background you have, you can't possibly go against the three most powerful families in Hong Kong. Their connections, background, and wealth were all well known in Hong Kong. Now, they were talking to the joint office of the Central Committee. It was obvious that they wanted to work with Supermanly and the other super families. To put it bluntly, they could kill you with a finger. How dare you be so arrogant? This is not just arrogance. This is ignorance. Utter ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. Wu Zhirua said mockingly, Jiang Tian, where did your confidence come from? Why should I tell you? Who are you to me? Jiang Tian said coldly, moreover, will you believe me if I tell you? Tell me. Wu Zhirua said coldly. Then I will tell you. Jiang Tian looked at Wu Zhirua with a spurious smile, and then he said indifferently, all right, I'll tell you. You are not talking to an ordinary human being. I am a god in front of you. I once defeated the Singapore police force, defeated the Chinese Association, killed Wang Chongyan, and called the Prime Minister of Singapore, Li Hsien-long, my disciple. I once defeated the 28th Japanese Army and Air Force Brigade and forced the Japanese Prime Minister to bow down to me. In Sidonie, I once defeated the European Union's Pantheon, Russia's Winter Soldier, and America's Blue Storm. I am the number one on the global list. I once defeated the French army, scared the French President Sanche to his knees, and made the European Union's President Young surrender to me. I am the real owner of Sidonie. I have trillions of funds under my control. I also opened the St. Essence Healing Village. I once killed a mortal deity, a half-step mortal deity, and 2 peak-stage immortal state warriors. Jiang Tian looked straight into Wu Zhirua's eyes and said, so, after the Huaxiaolong formation, many martial arts families and Red Wall families in Yanjin turned to me as their backer. So, the Chinese Association of Singapore, the Japanese Cherry Blossom Society, and the European Union's Pantheon all respected me. So, the Great Circle, the fucking gang, the Yamaguchi-gumi, and many other large societies in the world were willing to be my dogs. So, when I came to Hong Kong, Li Zhikai bowed to me, Fang Gui protected me in secret, and Su Zixuan accompanied me like a ghost. So, I dared to beat up Qian Qian, slap Xu Min, cripple Wei Hongliang, and tell the three major societies to get out of Hong Kong. Are you satisfied with this explanation? Wu Zhiruo's face became colder and colder as Jiang Tian spoke. By the time Jiang Tian finished speaking, the woman's face was already as cold as a glacier that wouldn't melt even after 10,000 years. In the end, she couldn't stand it anymore. She slammed the table and said angrily, Jiang Tian, I'm trying to persuade you, but you're making fun of me. Is this fun? The Hong Kong media said that the Jiang family is on the verge of collapse. They have withdrawn from the market and are burdened with huge debts. Now, Li Zhikai has abandoned you and doesn't care about you anymore. What do you have to fight with them? This is my last persuasion. If you don't listen to me, I won't talk to you anymore. Let's pretend that we don't know each other. You can go to hell. Wu Zhiruo's eyes turned red and tears welled up in her eyes. She slammed the door and left. Chapter 718. She had originally come with good intentions, and even had a bit of indescribable guilt and affection. However, Jiang Tian did not appreciate it, and it made her feel as if her good intentions had been treated as ill intent. You defeated the Japanese army. You sure know how to brag. Why did you say that you destroyed the earth? Wu Zhiruo got into her car and started the engine. Fine, fine, fine. I have tried my best to persuade you. Now you are going to die. Jiang Tian sat there and shook his head helplessly. Sigh. I didn't want to explain, but you forced me to. But you don't believe me. Su Zixuan stood up from her seat and walked over to Su Zixuan. She smiled and said, All right, Master Kong. Stop lamenting. It's normal that summer insects can't talk about ice. In the eyes of those who can't fly, those who can fly will look smaller and smaller. The afternoon of the Lantern Festival. On Temple Street, there were too many gangster movies that covered it with a dark tone that did not belong to it. Violence, blood, and evil. Most of the 80s generation who had been influenced by Hong Kong movies thought that there would be fights every few days. But that was not the case. Temple Street reflected the local culture of Hong Kong. There were many food stalls and small shops, just like the famous Lan Kwai Fong. It was a must-visit place for tourists. Sitting in the open-air food stalls and eating the special stir-fry made by the city's chefs, one could feel the local characteristics more than watching the skyscrapers by the Victoria Harbour. At this time, the sun was setting in the west, and the sky was gradually darkening. The short Temple Street was bustling with activity, and the food stalls on Temple Street were getting more and more lively. People came and went, and groups of customers came and went. The figures of small citizens and tourists intertwined, forming a harmonious picture. Jiang Chao, Qing Yi, and Zhen Shuai did not sit down to eat. Instead, they ate from one stall to another. Superman Li's side is ready. The gangsters from the three gangs will be there. Jiang Chao reported. Don't worry. The Li family will not stand up for us. We will only reveal the truth after we arrest them. De Huan's side is ready too. Cooperate with the Hong Kong police to arrest him tonight. Qing Yi's face was gloomy as he smiled and said, In fact, they've been holding it in for a long time. They've wanted to fight and kill for a long time. This time, they finally found a suitable reason. Don't mention how excited they are. So happy, so happy. Zhen Shuai rubbed his hands excitedly. I can finally slap them. It feels so good. However, don't kill that Xu Min. I think it's pretty good if I accept it in the future. That woman's looks are really ordinary, but she can disgust Xiang Qiangsheng. Qing Yi said with a smile. That's right, slap their faces and kill them all. Jiang Tian nodded from time to time, eating the barbecued pork rice wrapped in lotus leaves. At the top of an old 4-story building on one side of Temple Street, the gunman who had been lying on the ground for a long time looked down from above. He slowly adjusted the angle of his sniper rifle, and the crosshair of his scope once again searched for Jin Shuai's figure. Every time there was a cruel war, the number of bullets and artillery shells consumed was not comparable to the number of people killed. In the European battlefield of World War II, 3,000 bullets were used to kill one person. This number was estimated to make people wonder if the soldiers of that time even knew how to shoot. In fact, after more than 50 years, the war in this era was not much better than it was a few decades ago. However, there was always a small group of people on the battlefield who performed the legend of killing one enemy with one bullet. Snipers, ghosts on the battlefield, they used the least amount of bullets to kill the most people, and even secretly made the organized troops lose their frontline commander and become scattered sand. The gunman who was lying on the top of the building with the help of his black clothes blended into the night. Looking at the way he held the gun, he was not an amateur at the last minute, he was very professional. He adjusted his heartbeat rate, controlled his breathing, and moved the muzzle silently. Because the target he wanted to kill was constantly moving, if he wanted to kill the target in one shot, he must have enough patience and wait for the best opportunity. At this time, Jiang Tian suddenly had an idea, and a burst of true yuan was released. Then, there was a muffled bang. A gas tank in a shop on the street suddenly exploded, rolling up into the sky. Jiang Tian and the other two were unharmed, but a few Hong Kong diners were covered in blood. Jiang Tian pulled Jiang Chao under the awning of a shop on the street. He was not afraid of bullets, but Jiang Chao was not, especially when he was facing a sniper. There is a sniper, up there. He looked up calmly and pointed at the top of his head. Cheng Yi nodded in agreement. Sticking close to the wall, he turned into a small alley and stepped on the ground. With a loud rumble, the ground caved in. He had already risen tens of meters and landed on the roof. A few passers-by in the alley looked up stupidly, as if they had seen a monster as they watched Li Lei disappear from their sight. Huh? Why didn't you hit him? Why did you miss so much? The gunman on the roof knew that he had been exposed. Just as he was hesitating whether he should continue to wait for an opportunity or retreat, he heard footsteps behind him. The gunman turned around and saw a ghostly figure walk out from the darkness. Bang! The gunman rolled on the ground to increase the distance between them. At the same time, he pulled out his pistol and fired at Cheng Yi. However, Cheng Yi did not fall. A few bullets fell to the ground. The gunman was so scared that he knelt on the ground. Cheng Yi stepped forward and grabbed the gunman's throat. He asked coldly, "Who ordered you to do this?" The gunman was in his 30s. He wanted to fight until the end, but when he saw Cheng Yi's eyes, his heart skipped a beat. He knew that if he refused to admit his mistake, he would die. He hesitated for a few seconds and then said, "I was sent by Wei Duangong to kill you." "Just you?" Cheng Yi sneered, his voice filled with disdain. The gunman nodded. He was trembling in fear. "Judging from your accent, you are from Japan?" Cheng Yi asked. "Yes." The man nodded. "Then go to hell." Without another word, Cheng Yi snapped his neck. Then, he took out the fireball charm that Jiang Tian had given him and threw it at the gunman. The gunman was burned into ashes. Whoosh! Cheng Yi lightly landed on the ground, walked to Jiang Tian and reported a few words in a low voice. "Let's go. The show is about to start. Today, we will destroy Hong Kong." Jiang Tian narrowed his eyes after hearing Chen Fan's words. He threw the cigarette on the ground and stepped on it. He then walked out of the Temple Street. The Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Center was located in Wan Chai. It was a fancy building that protruded out of the sea like a small island. Under the night sky, it was as bright as the skyscrapers around it. The nearby roads were heavily guarded and patrolled by police cars. It had a parking lot of 1,300 spaces. One after another, luxury cars drove into the building under the guidance of the security guards. Luxury cars were everywhere, and celebrities were everywhere. Rolls-Royce and Bentley were common, which reflected the charm of Hong Kong. Tonight, the Lantern Festival charity banquet would be held at the Convention and Exhibition Center. Celebrities from Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan would attend the banquet. 8:30 p.m. More than 300 rich men and women were gathered at the lavishly decorated Convention and Exhibition Center. Tycoons in finance, new politicians, celebrities, and nobles from the British royal family were all gathered in one place. Waitresses in formal attire shuttled through the crowd, looking courteous and attentive. Security guards in suits and leather shoes were stationed at the entrance. They wore mini headphones and concealed pistols. Their eyes were alert and vigilant. The Red Peony Hall on the second floor of the Convention and Exhibition Center hosted many important events of all kinds. Those who were qualified to enter the hall and take a seat in the VIP section were all extraordinary talents. Most of them were elites in their own fields. Of course, there was no shortage of heroes. Wei Duangong was in his early 60s. Although he was in his 60s, Wei Duangong looked like he was still in his middle age. His hair was short and lean, and his sideburns were slightly frosted. Not only did he not look old, but it also added a bit of mature male charm to him. He was steady, capable, and smart. He was wearing a bright coat as the chairman of the board of directors of a multinational investment group. Accompanied by Xiang Qiangsheng, Yang Shoucheng, and dozens of celebrities, he walked into the hall. Everyone who knew him didn't see him as a businessman or a financial tycoon. He was a hero in their eyes. Many people applauded for his timely arrival. He was the hero of the number gang in Europe. Whether it was the celebrities who were familiar with Wei Duangong or the people who had only met him a few times, they all left their seats and came over to shake hands with him. Many people were satisfied and even proud of themselves. Although some of the tycoons didn't leave their seats, most of them nodded and smiled at Wei Duangong as a form of greeting. It was indeed something to be proud of as a member of the number gang. If a bum in a small county in China made a name for himself, he might be able to be friends with a lot of powerful officials. He might even be able to drink and chat with the county head and secretary. Therefore, the small commotion caused by Wei Duangong's appearance was not too shocking. After Wei Duangong sat down, a few more people who attracted everyone's attention arrived. The lords of the four major families in Hong Kong, Su Maozhai, Wan Qili of the Bamboo Alliance, and He Hongqian of Macau, all arrived. Superman Li, Shao Shikuan, Guo Bingrui, and Li Xiaofeng were the richest and most powerful families in Hong Kong. Wan Qili and He Hongqian represented the most powerful families in Taiwan and Macau respectively. Although Su Maozhai was not as wealthy as the other tycoons, his status was the highest and he was the most respected. He was a spellcaster and was known as the Guardian of Hong Kong. That was why many tycoons respected him more than Superman Li. Basically, the Lantern Festival charity dinner was hosted by these few families. This year, it was Superman Li's family's turn. In short, Superman Li's family would donate some items for the charity auction to the tycoons. The money from the auction would be used as donations. However, many people noticed that on the brochure, the donations were for the Changgung Charity Foundation. These tycoons were much more intimidating than Wei Duangong. After greeting everyone, Superman Li and his gang walked up the spiral staircase to the Chinese Bauhinia Hall. Over there was an even more high-profile gathering. Chapter 719. The Bauhinia Hall on the third floor was a gathering for Su Maozhai and the 6 major families. It involved the conflicts and communication between the major families, the division of interests, and so on. There were more than a dozen high-level bodyguards on the left and right of the spiral staircase to the third floor. They were all from the 6 major families. All of them were solemn, quiet, and dignified. The security guards provided by the convention center could not be compared to them. Hong Kong was like this. There was a huge gap between the rich and the poor. Even the upper class was divided into different classes. The Bauhinia Hall was equivalent to the top of the pyramid of wealth and power. Those in the Red Peony Hall could only be considered as the middle class of the rich. Seeing this, Wei Duangong's face was calm, but his heart was filled with jealousy. He snorted. Sooner or later, I will help you clear your name. I will stand side by side with Superman Li and talk to them as equals. I will also hold a charity banquet to show off. At Wei Duangong's level, his wealth was also in the tens of billions. Money was just a number. Luxury cars, mansions, private jets, and other luxuries were not rare. He cared more about his reputation and influence. In short, he cared more about his face. Brother Wei, I am very sorry about Hong Liang's accident. Qian Qian was too reckless. Xiang Qiangsheng leaned over and whispered in Wei Duangong's ear. It's not Qian Qian's fault. Wei Duangong's eyes twitched when he thought of his son's miserable state. But he was indeed the overlord of Europe's underworld. Soon, he calmed down and said lightly, it's those bastards from the mainland. But I have already taught them a lesson. Xiang Qiangsheng nodded and sneered in his heart. Mainland brat, you dare to provoke me, Xiang Qiangsheng. I only need to casually strike you and you will die a violent death. Those bastards from the mainland don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. How can they be my opponent? Below the semi-open Red Peony Hall was the Tulip Hall, which was of a lower level. There were hundreds of people here, and they were basically the younger generation of Hong Kong. For example, Li Zhikai, Xiao Yunhao, and other young talents. Kai Xiaofei, Qian Qian, and all kinds of second and third generations who relied on their parents to survive were gathered on this floor. This kind of charity auction was also a gathering for the upper class to socialize. From 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. was the banquet and dinner time. After that, the charity auction would begin. At this time, in the Red Peony Hall, Wu Zhirua and Wu Chu were both dressed up with exquisite makeup and jewelry. They wore backless evening gowns and respectfully chatted with Sun Jiaro and a man. Young Master Xiao, if you didn't bring us in today, we would have been blocked outside the door. Wu Chu said with a fawning expression. The young man's name was Xiao Yunjie, a member of the third generation of the Xiao family. He was a distant cousin of Xiao Yunhao, one of the famous four young masters of Hong Kong. You're welcome. Since you're Jiarou's friend, I naturally have to help. Xiao Yunjie spoke politely, but there was a trace of undetectable disdain in the depths of his eyes. Hong Kong was not a big place, but there were a lot of rich people in Hong Kong. The Luo family and the Wu family only had a few hundred million in assets. Strictly speaking, they couldn't be considered as families. If Sun Jiaro hadn't just agreed to be his girlfriend, he wouldn't have bothered with these two low-class women who were stopped by the bodyguards. They were so anxious that they almost cried. Have you heard of a piece of news? As they chatted, Xiao Yunjie suddenly chuckled and lowered his voice. A few days ago, Wei Hongliang and Kai Xiaofei were beaten up by a few Chinese guys at the Discovery Bay golf course. What? That's Wei Hongliang. Who has the guts to do that? Sun Jiaro was shocked and couldn't believe it. Yunjie, you heard about it too. A shrewd young man suddenly came over and adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses. I heard about it too. He was indeed beaten up. Not only him, but also Kai Xiaofei, young Master Hu, young Master Hua, and young Master Ren. I heard that these young masters are Li Huiyan's supporters. They had a conflict with young Master Xiangqian before. Young Master Xiang was there too, but young Master Xiang escaped quickly. Otherwise, young Master Xiang would have been beaten up too. Yang Shoucheng was there too, but he couldn't stop them. He was even slapped. Wei Hongliang, Wei Duangong's son. Young Master Hu, the young master of virtuous consulting. And young Master Hua. He listed out one name after another. They were all descendants of the rich and powerful in Hong Kong. At the same time, a few other young masters, celebrities, and directors had gathered around them. They were all furious. These Chinese are out of their minds. This is outrageous. How dare they? This is a slap to the faces of the rich and powerful in Hong Kong. A group of people shared the same hatred and anger. Xiao Yunjie analyzed calmly. I think Number Gang and E Club will not let this go easily. That's right. This is a provocation to the entire upper-class society in Hong Kong. No, they have offended all the powerful people in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. Wu Chu looked agitated as if her own father was beaten up. How can we let this go? She said angrily. How can we let this go? The shrewd young man was tight-lipped. He smiled and said, I'm afraid their parents will be very sad after this. There should be big news in tomorrow's newspaper. Everyone looked at each other and smiled. Their eyes were filled with disdain. They all knew how ruthless Number Gang could be. They could get someone killed. I'm afraid Li Huiyan will be done for. She is also invited to the banquet, but she is not here yet. Xu Min said disdainfully in the crowd. At this moment, Wu Zhirua was shocked. She took out her phone and dialed Jiang Tian's number. Although she looked down on Jiang Tian, she would not be able to answer to her father if something happened to Jiang Tian. After a while, the call was connected. Wu Zhirua quickly said, Jiang Tian, where are you now? Are you okay? I'm fine. Jiang Tian said lightly. Jiang Tian, you are in danger now. Number Gang and E Club are after you. You should leave Hong Kong quickly. Wu Zhirua said anxiously. They are not strong enough to deal with me. Jiang Tian smiled and said, I'm going to the convention center to look for them. You are crazy. Wu Zhirua could not believe it. She said angrily, do you know how powerful they are? Not to mention that Li Zhikai is ignoring you, even if Li Zhikai is willing to help you, he can't. That's all for now. I'm almost there. Jiang Tian hung up the phone. Wu Zhirua was so angry that she beat her chest and stomped her feet. Who are these people? They are so funny. Yeah. They are dressed like beggars. They are so rustic. They are even wearing old cloth shoes. At this time, there was an uproar at the entrance. A few weirdly dressed young men appeared at the entrance. One of them was handsome with deep eyes, but he was wearing a long jacket, casual pants, and old cloth shoes. He looked like a retired grandpa from the mainland. It was Jiang Tian. Cheng Yi was in hiking shoes and sportswear, while Jiang Chao was in casual clothes. Although Zhen Shuai was dressed luxuriously, his hands were full of huge gold rings. He looked like a nouveau riche. This kind of celebrity gathering was a place for everyone to show off their achievements and make friends. Unless it was those old leaders of wealthy families who were dressed plainly and simply. Which young person would dress like this? Which one of them didn't dress luxuriously and try their best to show off? Jiang Tian's dressing was simply incompatible with this high-end atmosphere. For a time, many socialites and young masters looked at the three people as if they were monsters. They snickered and pointed at them. Jiang Tian, who allowed you to come here? You are just a bumpkin from the mainland. How can you be qualified to come here? Seeing Jiang Tian coming over, Wu Chu immediately greeted him with a face full of ridicule. She sneered and said, you must have sneaked in, right? Jiang Tian, you are really dressed in a unique style. Sun Jiaro also said with a face full of ridicule. She hated Jiang Tian to death. He dared to slap her. She must take revenge. Young Master Jiang is young Master Jiang. He can only be imitated and never surpassed. He is mighty and domineering. Luo Ziho also walked over with his hands in his pockets. His face was full of disdain. Then he deliberately raised his voice and shouted, you may not know him, but this is the valiant existence who beat up Wei Hongliang and other young masters. What? The mainland boy who beat them up. It's him. Boom. The whole place was in an uproar. Everyone looked at Jiang Tian. Their eyes were full of complicated emotions. Shock, anger, ridicule, scrutiny, disdain, inquiry, gloating. The meaning was hard to understand. He beat up Wei Hongliang and caused a big trouble. How dare he come out? Is he crazy? Yeah, is he not afraid of death? He is really brainless. Get out of the way. Where did this male dog and female dog come from? How dare you bark at me? Jiang Tian was annoyed. He frowned and scolded them. At the same time, he scanned the surroundings with his divine sense. Hee, everyone who should be here is here. This is great. I can really deal with them all at once. At this time, Jiang Tian was not in a hurry. This was also good. He could step on them one by one and not let anyone go. You. Who are you calling a dog? You have no manners. Sun Jiaro was so angry that her face turned red. She wanted to bite Jiang Tian to death. Wu Chuchu smiled grimly and said, "Very well, if you dare to insult me, I will call the security and throw you out of here. Don't let him go. There are so many enemies here. He can't survive." Luo Ziho rolled his eyes and stopped Wu Chuchu. He whispered a few words in her ear and then disappeared into the crowd. Jiang Tian, why did you really come? Wu Zhiruo walked quickly to Jiang Tian and scolded him, "You will be played to death if you come here." Luo Ziho was going to find someone. However, she didn't dare to stop Luo Ziho. Otherwise, Luo Ziho would have a bad impression of her. She had missed too many opportunities. She couldn't afford to lose any more. Although Luo Ziho was not the best, he was the best young master she could get her hands on. "Don't worry, I am going to destroy Hong Kong today." Jiang Tian cracked a smile and reached out his arm. "Sister Zhirua, are you interested in being my partner? We can destroy people together. Don't people usually come in pairs at high society gatherings?" Since he was going to help Uncle Wu's family, he might as well bestow her with glory and wealth tonight. You are crazy." Wu Zhiruo was so angry that she almost fainted. "Do you know how many people you have offended? Do you know how many people want to kill you?" Chapter 720. She was really disappointed in Jiang Tian. In her eyes, Jiang Tian had a low IQ and EQ. He didn't know how to judge the situation. He made a big trouble and came here to court death. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. She wanted to scold Jiang Tian and said coldly, "Why don't you take a look at yourself? How can you compare with Xiang Qian and those young masters from Hong Kong? Alas, you're making me embarrassed." Jiang Tian shook his head with a wry smile and gave up the idea. "Humph, it seems that he has been abandoned by the Wu family. Someone ridiculed him in a strange way. A gentleman doesn't stand under a collapsing wall. Who doesn't know he's going to die soon? The Wu family isn't stupid. Of course, they have to stay away from him. This guy is talking nonsense. Does he want the Wu family to be his backer? How can the Wu family protect him?" A rich man snorted. For a moment, Jiang Tian seemed to be a joke. What an honor it is to be Master Kang's female companion. "Miss Wu, if you don't want to, I can't ask for anything more." At this moment, a soft and pleasant voice came from the door. Li Huiyan, dressed in a splendid dress, walked in gracefully, took Jiang Tian's arm, and said with a smile. Seeing this, Wu Zhiruo was surprised. Didn't Li Huiyan know how much trouble Jiang Tian had caused? How could she stand beside him today? But soon, she snorted and said in a low voice, "Miss Li, you have to learn how to judge the situation. Don't make mistakes. Otherwise, you will die miserably." Bai Choufei and Li Huiyan, the bosses of Tiange Entertainment, are here. The news spread all over the place in an instant. Suddenly, there was a storm. No one expected Li Huiyan to be here at this time. After all, it was rumored that Li Huiyan picked Xu Min's Lanfang Garden restaurant first, which led to this terrible dispute. Many people in the circle were angry at her. She would become the target of public criticism if she came here at this time. Li Huiyan, I didn't expect you to come. Aren't you afraid of being torn apart by the celebrities in Hong Kong? Soon, Xu Min walked over arrogantly and looked at Li Huiyan with disdain and ridicule. Try tearing me apart. Li Huiyan said with a disdainful smile. Li Huiyan, if you're willing to be my female companion today and accompany me to the hotel after the banquet, I'll let you go. At this time, Feng Chang sneered and slowly walked over. As soon as these words came out, everyone looked over and gloated. Everyone knew that Xiang Qian wasn't interested in Li Huiyan. He was humiliating and provoking Jiang Tian. Isn't Li Huiyan your partner? Now, you can only wear a maid outfit and kneel at my feet and call me daddy. Many people were excited. Tonight, the first wave of attacks against Jiang Tian had begun. Ha, forward, toads are common, but a shameless, ignorant, fearless, and ugly toad like you is really rare. There was no need for Jiang Tian to speak. Li Huiyan let out a burst of bell-like laughter, full of ridicule. Towards this kind of scum, there was no need to be angry, nor was it worth being angry. Only careless ridicule and humiliation could ruthlessly slap him in the face and make him feel humiliated. Very well, Li Huiyan, I will let you know my power. I will let you know the difference between this Chinese country bumpkin and me. As expected, Xiang Qian's lungs were about to explode when he heard this. His face darkened and a murderous look flashed in his eyes. Li Huiyan, from now on, you will not have a chance to star in any movie directed by me or my friends. The chubby Hong Kong film director, Wang Jing, stepped forward and said with a sinister smile. This man started his career by gambling and was Xiang Qiangxing's personal director. He was extremely influential in Hong Kong's commercial film industry and was also the chairman of Hong Kong's Directors Guild. Li Huiyan, how dare you offend young Master Xiang? You have no chance to star in any of my movies. Kung Fu superstar Brother Dan said mockingly as he sucked up to the Xiang family. In the Hong Kong circle, Huang Jing and Brother Dan were both highly regarded. One represented the directors, and the other represented the stars. Basically, they represented the entire Hong Kong film industry. Shut her out. How dare you challenge the Xiang family? It's your honor that young Master Xiang wants to sleep with you. Behind them, dozens of stars and directors followed closely behind like vicious hounds. They were afraid that they would miss out on the Xiang family's hot shit if they were too slow. My market is in China. You can shut me out if you want to. Li Huiyan didn't panic in the face of danger. Her beautiful face was full of mockery as she sneered. Who else wants to shut me out? Step forward. I, Li Huiyan, would like to see how many people want to shut me down. Li Huiyan apologized to Xu Min and young Master Xiang immediately. At this time, the Chinese director Feng Xiaopao, who was also known as Bao Shu, came forward with a glass of red wine. Director Feng, why should I apologize? Li Huiyan's lips curled into a mocking smile. They are the ones who are distorting the truth. I did not do anything wrong from the beginning. I have a clear conscience. You still ask me why? Feng Xiaopao let out a loud shout. He was full of arrogance. Then let me tell you clearly. I am stronger than you, I have more resources than you, and I have more influence than you. I can order you to apologize to Li Huiyan. Otherwise, I will shut you out in China. He was a famous director in the China Film Group. He had produced many popular movies that sold well at the box office. In the film industry in Huaxia, he was very influential and could suppress Bai Choufei. Behind Jiang Tian, Bai Choufei sneered, Director Feng, you are a director in China. We have no grievances. Why are you standing on the side of Hong Kong people and attacking your own people? Mr. Bai, Li Huiyan, you are too naive. Feng Xiaopao's vitiligo face showed a sinister smile and mocked, "There is no right or wrong in the adult world. There are only pros and cons, only strong and weak. I am stronger than you. If I shut you out, I can curry favor with the Xiang family. It is good for me, so I will shut you out. Why? Are you not convinced?" His shamelessness had reached a new height. He didn't even try to hide it. His expression said, "What can you do about it?" "Li Huiyan, apologize." Brother Dan shouted. "What makes you think you can compete with the film industry in Hong Kong?" Huang Jing also sneered. "Shut her out. She will never accept any role in Hong Kong." Xu Min snickered. "Huiyan, you have indeed done something wrong. You fought with Xu Min for a role, but you shouldn't have tricked her restaurant. You're ruining the source of hundreds of millions of yuan. Cutting off her career path is like killing her parents." The big sister of King Ying pretended to sigh and shook her head. Her eyes were full of gloating. At this moment, the stars and directors in Hong Kong, Macau and Taiwan all sneered and scolded Li Huiyan, saying that they wanted to shut her out. As if Li Huiyan was a sinner. As if Li Huiyan had been abandoned by the world. As if Li Huiyan had lost the game and couldn't make a comeback. "I heard that you want to shut Li Huiyan out. Very well, I will shut you out. What do you think?" Suddenly, a loud roar was heard. At the entrance, Zhang Huchen strode in with majestic gait, pointing at everyone's noses as he spoke. "Shut me out? Who do you think you are?" Xu Min sneered. But in the next moment, when she saw the two middle-aged men behind Zhang Huchen, her pretty face changed color. Her heart thumped and fell into the abyss. The two men behind Zhang Huchen. One was the chairman of the China Film Group, Boss Han. The other was the deputy director of the China Film Bureau. He was a big shot who could control the fate of these stars. The deputy director was in his 60s. He wore an old Chinese tunic suit and his hair was neatly parted. His thin face was old-fashioned and conservative, but there was a sense of coldness and power about him. "Huang Jing, you are always making gambling movies and teaching children bad things. Don't make movies in the future. You will be banned from the market forever. All of your movies are not allowed to be released in China." The deputy director's voice was hoarse like the eunuch of an emperor. He pointed at Huang Jing and said sarcastically, "Hey! Director, you can't do that. Please, give me a chance. I can make positive movies. I can make anti-Japanese movies." Huang Jing's face was as pale as a sheet of paper. His body trembled and he screamed. He was a director and he made a living by making movies. If he was not allowed to make movies, it would be the same as cutting off his livelihood. The deputy director of the China Film Bureau ignored him. He pointed at Brother Dan and said, "Your movies are too bloody and violent. You are teaching children bad things. Don't make movies in the future. If you want to make movies, go to Hollywood. The cinemas in China will never welcome you." "Hey! Deputy Director, all of my movies have passed the review and received the Dragon label." Brother Dan looked as if he had been shot. He held his chest and staggered backward. Tears welled up in his eyes and he wanted to cry. In 2011, the film industry in Hong Kong was in a slump. However, the movie industry in China was booming. The number of cinemas and TV screens increased and the box office hit new highs. Losing the market in China meant that he had lost his livelihood. If he went to Hollywood, no one would know him. Do I need to explain to you? You are an ant. Huaxia is the most powerful organization in China. I don't need to explain. The deputy director was arrogant and disdainful. He raised his hand and pointed at Xu Min again. Don't talk about it. Those movies you made in the early years made many girls think that they could become famous overnight. You have led the society astray and made Huaxia's moral standards regress by 20 years. Don't make movies anymore. You will be banned indefinitely. Director, I was just muddle-headed back then. Please give me a chance, I beg you. Shu Min's legs were weak and her face was pale. A strong sense of regret rushed to the top of her head and she almost burst into tears. If any of you dare to stir up trouble in the future and affect our hard-won stability, stop acting and ban all of you. The deputy director swung his sleeves and looked at the celebrities and directors in Hong Kong and said angrily. No, we won't dare to do it again. Director, we were also deceived. Now that we know Shu Min's true colors, we must turn over a new leaf. Director, you are so wise. If you didn't expose Shu Min's true colors, we would still be in the dark. I will post on Weibo now and scold Shu Min. She is a beast with a human face. Yeah, Li Huiyan is so professional and reasonable. It's all Shu Min's fault. I want to report that Shu Min hired the Internet Water Army. All the directors, stars and even some investors were scared like rabbits under the claws of a tiger. They trembled and said with pale faces. They even took out their phones and started to post on Weibo and Twitter, abandoning Shu Min instantly. Who would dare to offend the god of harmony? Chapter 721. Chairman, the movies I've made are all about the theme, singing praises loudly. Please give me a chance. Feng Xiaopao came over with a fawning expression, like a loyal dog seeing its master. You dog, why are you messing around with a celebrity like Shu Min instead of making a movie? Huh? The chairman of China Film Corporation, Boss Han, was furious. He raised his hand and gave Feng Xiaopao a slap, making him bleed. Chairman, what you said makes sense. I was just confused. Feng Xiaopao covered his face and didn't dare to refute. He even nodded and bowed like an old dog. Being a third-rate celebrity's shield, cursing the netizens and being called a masseuse, don't you feel disgusted? Huh? Boss Han shouted again and gave him another slap. Pa! Feng Xiaopao fell to the ground miserably. His face was swollen and a few of his yellow teeth fell out. He screamed in pain. You've lost all my face. You think you're a mother? Huaxing Corporation invested in a movie for you and you've forgotten who your mother is? Boss Han was so angry that he forgot that he was a scholarly businessman. He grabbed Feng Xiaopao's collar and slapped him left and right. Bai Qiufei and Li Huiyan were nothing, but who dared to mess with the Zhang family of Yanjin? I heard that the Zhang family had a super powerful person behind them. He could even suppress the Song and Lu families. What kind of terrifying existence was that? Yet you still wanted to mess with him. Aren't you just causing trouble for me? If the Zhang family was angry, wouldn't I have to move my position? Boss Han, don't hit him, don't hit him. You're a cultured person, how can you use violence? Jiang Chao smiled and pulled Boss Han away. Thank you. Feng Xiaopao thought that Jiang Chao was going to save him. He was quite grateful and squeezed out a smile on his pig-like face. But the next moment, his smile froze on his face. I'll hit him for you. Jiang Chao rolled up his sleeves. Brother, we don't have any grudges, why do you have to do this? Feng Xiaopao waved his hands and begged for mercy. We have grudges, you called me a bastard on Weibo. Jiang Chao sneered. He swung his arm and slapped Feng Xiaopao's face. Whoosh! Feng Xiaopao really turned into a small steel cannon. He flew 7 to 8 meters away and plunged into a pile of cold food. Looking at his face again, it was cracked open and fresh blood was dripping down. His canine teeth were scattered all over the ground, and his cheekbones were probably shattered. Who's the beast? Jiang Chao grabbed him by the collar, glared at him, and asked with an evil expression. Feng Xiaopao really wanted to cry. He had been flaunting his prowess in the entertainment industry all his life. When had he ever suffered such a loss? He only hesitated for a moment, and Jiang Chao slapped him again, smashing the other side of his face. Feng Xiaopao burst into tears. "I'm a beast. No, I'm worse than a beast. Calling me a beast is an insult to the word beast. Trash. Pushing him to the ground, Jiang Chao shook his head in disappointment and snorted in disdain. Aren't you known as Little Steel Cannon? You're always scolding people on the internet, scolding the audience, scolding the parents of your livelihood. I thought you were quite fierce and had a good mouth. Who knew that you would be so scared so quickly? His gloomy eyes glanced at everyone present and said coldly, I'll definitely strictly control the works of Huaxing Pictures, Emperor Movies and everyone here. Once those words were said, all the stars, directors and investors trembled and felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. Young Master Zhang, they won't dare to mess around in the future. I'll leave first. He patted Zhang Huchen and said with a smile. Boss Han from China Film also said goodbye. Zhang Huchen didn't ask him to stay. Before he left, he took a deep look at Jiang Tian with fear in his eyes. He looks so familiar. It can't be him. Is he really the Jiang Ligua who defeated the Lu and Song families? However, if Zhang Huchen didn't introduce him, he wouldn't dare to rashly talk to him. Their levels were too far apart. One had to know that Jiang Ligua was someone who could directly talk to the heads of state of France and the European Union. However, he was still very glad. It seemed that he had made the right choice to come today. After all, there would be some fireworks left behind. After Boss Han left. Brother Tian, did I do well? Zhang Huchen asked Jiang Tian shamelessly. Sometimes, evil people need to be dealt with by evil people. Jiang Tian frowned and said, but don't do it again. Why? Zhang Huchen looked confused and a bit wronged. I'm just doing this for you. Banning is not a good thing. Jiang Tian frowned and said, haven't you banned a lot of things over the years? Do you think the cramped space for creation and speech isn't suffocating enough? If you hate her, then go and fight back. If you think she's bad, then go and trample on her. You also have a mouth, right? You also have hands that can write, right? But if you find it difficult to do these things, then you go and call for a more terrifying power. You're really stupid, weak and bad. You don't even know when you're digging your own grave. When the soil reaches your neck, you turn around and see what you've gained and what you've lost. Great God, Zhang's words are too profound, I don't quite understand. Zhang Huchen scratched his head, not fully understanding. Master Kong is really knowledgeable. Bai Choufei gave him a thumbs up and then said with a smile, Master Kong, they are using the power of capital, but we are using our power. You can't blame us for going too far. Where did this young Master Jiang come from? Everyone was still silent like cicadas in winter, and they were dumbstruck. They were immersed in shock and were unable to recover from it for a long time. Jiang Tian, so the Zhang family is your trump card? Wu Zhiruo rounded her eyes and couldn't believe it. She had never thought that the Zhang family's influence was even greater than she had imagined. They had used the movie studio as an excuse to suppress all the celebrities. This was like slapping a bunch of Hong Kong celebrities to death like swatting flies. Xu Min, young Master Xiang, come on, ban me. Aren't you very capable? What about now? Who is the one that is being banned? Ridiculous. On the other hand, Li Huiyan stood beside Jiang Tian and sneered proudly. Xu Min's face turned pale and she trembled uneasily. She didn't dare to look Li Huiyan in the eyes. Fang Chong was like a defeated rooster. He was angry, dispirited and ashamed. His face turned red and he gritted his teeth, but he couldn't refute. This was a slap to his face. He had said that he would ban Li Huiyan, but he was the first one to be banned. He didn't have the power to fight back. Huiyan, don't go overboard. I think we should just let it go. The top sister of Emperor Ying said softly. Yeah, you have already punished them. Why do you still want to humiliate them? That's a bit too much. An investor chimed in. Shut up. Li Huiyan scolded. Everyone, I have always followed the rules in that crew. I didn't offend anyone. So the first elder sister of the Ying Emperor and the rest of you are actually my sisters. Brother Dan, 2 years ago, when you were in need of investors for a movie, I helped you pull strings. But how did you treat me? When Xu Min and the Xiang family gave the order, you turned black into white and ignored the truth. You all slandered me. My mother was knocked down and hospitalized. My family was besieged by fans who didn't know the truth. Yeah, sometimes you can't do what you want. Everyone wants to be famous, to get resources and to make money. But you can at least choose to stay silent. Why are you helping the evildoers? Maybe you think that compared to the Xiang family, I have no resources, no power, and no background. I'm easy to bully. Hearing these words, many of the celebrities and directors present felt their faces burning. It was as if they had been slapped countless times. The top sister of Emperor Ying also blushed. She wanted to defend herself, but she found that she had nothing to say. Li Huiyan's eyes were red as she glanced at the crowd. She seemed to want to vent the grievances of the past few days. She shouted, I want to tell you that I have it. Now you have seen that I have a background. If I had mentioned my background at the beginning, none of you would have been able to compete with me. None of you would have been able to compete with me. It's just that, like Mr. Jiang said, I don't want to make the already narrow creative space even more unbearable. In the face of those slandering, I tolerated and begged everywhere. I said all the good things and begged you to stop. But you turned a deaf ear to me and treated me like a speck of dust. When I went to negotiate with Emperor Ying, they even wanted to violate me in broad daylight. Are you still making movies and culture? You're so materialistic. If you control the film industry like this, will great movies and artists be born? No. You're all black sheep. Movies are just a tool for you to launder money. You don't deserve to be called filmmakers. You should understand how difficult your days will be in the future. But I want to tell you that you don't deserve sympathy at all. You're the ones who bullied the weak and forced yourself into a dead end. The crowd was dead silent. Everyone's faces were pale. They kept quiet out of fear and did not dare to say a word. Some smart people thought that they could only do things according to Li Huiyan's whims in the future. They had to suck up to her, or they would be miserable. At that moment, Wu Jiruo's face was flushed red. She was embarrassed as if she had been slapped in the face. She had just mocked Li Huiyan for not knowing when to stop and destroying her own future. But now she realized that Li Huiyan was the smart one. She was the biggest winner. She had become a dragon with one leap. Could it be that I've misjudged Jiang Tian? At that moment, Wu Jiruo could not help but doubt herself. Over the years, many people in the industry and the media have been speculating about who my backer is, right? Li Huiyan's face was full of pride. She raised her hand and pointed at Jiang Tian. She raised her jade-white chin and said firmly, this is my, Li Huiyan's, greatest backer. My, Li Huiyan's, backer will never fall. He's not my godfather, nor is he my lover. We haven't even worked together directly. He's just a righteous man who stands up for injustice. A true hero. Who is this Mr. Jiang? Yeah, what's his background? I can't believe he managed to get such a powerful character to suppress Xu Min and Xiangqian. At that moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Jiang Tian. They were discussing and whispering. Xiangqian's expression was arrogant, and a hint of mockery appeared at the corner of his mouth. Good, 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 this is great. Jiang Tian, oh Jiang Tian, no matter how arrogant and overbearing you are, you can't do anything against Wan Chuha. Even your Zhang family behind you is useless. Lower your head, kneel down. Tremble. Regret it. Who knew? Jiang Tian's face was filled with disdain as he laughed coldly. Your little united bamboo gang is not worthy for me, Jiang Tian, to fight to the death. Aren't you thinking too highly of yourself? Who the hell are you? I don't even know you. When did I offend you? Marshal Zhen's eyebrows were raised to the sky. He sized up the youth and asked in disdain. Wan Chuha suddenly took out a gun and pointed it at Marshal Zhen's head. He said with an evil expression, "Kneel down. Kneel down." Boom. When the others saw Wan Chuha take out his gun, they all retreated in fear. Some of the female guests lost their color and screamed. In the crowd, Xu Min and the others laughed sinisterly as they gloated. Very good, very good. It's best if this disgusting Marshal Zhen dies. Let's see what you, Jiang Tian, can do. If you try to stop them, you'll be killed in one shot. But if you don't stop them and make your little brother kneel down, you'll be a joke. Jiang Tian, gun. They actually brought a gun in. At this moment, even Li Huiyin's heart was pounding. She hugged Jiang Tian's arm and hid behind him. Although she heard that Jiang Tian was a strange person, but she had never seen Jiang Tian's ability with her own eyes. She was still quite afraid. Damn, you dare to play like this? Who is this idiot? Marshal Zhen was dumbstruck. It was not fear, but shock at the opponent's low IQ. Showing off his gun was a very stupid move. His goal was not to kill, but to intimidate. But if the opponent was not afraid, and he did not dare to open fire, then it would be very awkward. Even if those top young masters in Yanjing played with guns, they would do it in private, who would take it out in public? I'll do it. Jiang Chao was now not afraid of firearms, so he was very eager to show off in front of Jiang Tian. He quickly walked over, grabbed Wan Chuha's gun and put it on his head. Come on, shoot. If you don't shoot, you're my grandson. The gun was a real one. The steel barrel was cold, and it was loaded. Wan Chuha was immediately stunned and embarrassed. How could someone be so unafraid of death? Shoot. I'll be your grandson in the blink of an eye. Jiang Chao glared at Wan Chuha. Wan Chuha had never thought that he would run into such a tough nut. He gritted his teeth in anger, but he did not dare to shoot. It was hard to stop halfway. Go away. I don't kill bodyguards. I'm looking for this Zhen guy. Wan Chuha was stunned for a long time, then he finally found a way out and pointed at Marshal Zhen. Cut the crap, Jiang Chao. Jiang Tian said impatiently, put down your gun. Roger that. Jiang Chao saluted Jiang Tian, then grabbed the gun barrel and kicked Wan Chuha to the ground. Wan Chuha felt a sharp pain in his internal organs as if they were being stabbed by a steel knife, causing him to cry out in pain. Jiang Chao took a step forward and kicked him in the face. Bang! Wan Chuha's nose was broken and blood spurted out. The back of his head was also bleeding on the table. Things happened too fast. Only then did Wan Chuha's henchmen react. They took out their guns and pointed at Marshal Zhen, threatening and cursing. At this time, everyone felt their scalps go numb and they all retreated dozens of meters away. They called the security, but the security didn't care at all. Wan Chuha didn't dare to shoot. He was a rich young master who cherished his life, but his henchmen did. They weren't afraid of death. Besides, they didn't kill people, but they could cripple them and they would be fine. They would be released after a few days in jail. But more people, like Xu Min and Xiang Qian, were gloating. Evil people need to be dealt with by evil people. These guys from the mainland have been acting arrogantly in Hong Kong because of their connections in Yanjing. Now, they've finally met a tough opponent. At this time, a cold voice was heard. Wan Chuha, how dare you take out your gun in front of Mr. Jiang? Do you want to die? Everyone looked over and saw the crowd move aside like a tide. A glamorous woman in an evening gown came down from the spiral stairs of the Peony Hall on the second floor. She was tall and over 178 with her high heels. She stood out like a crane among chickens and looked down on everyone, making many girls shrink back. A pair of majestic eyes glanced over. The arrogance and coldness in her eyes made countless people lower their heads, as if she were a goddess from an ice kingdom. Who is she? How dare she speak for this guy? Isn't she afraid of offending Wan Chuha? Wu Chu Chu snorted. A socialite next to her who recognized her was startled. She quickly covered her mouth and said, "Are you crazy? Don't you know the daughter of the chief of the police force, Fang Gui? Fang Minxia." Wu Chu Chu was startled and suddenly thought of something. Her face turned pale and she didn't dare to say anything. Wan Chuha was startled as a bad feeling rose in his heart. Mr. Jiang is an important person under the protection of the Hong Kong police. Wan Chuha, how dare you? Fang Minxia questioned with a cold look. She had always been a cold person, and as a senior inspector of the police force, she was even more intimidating. At this time, she was so angry that a layer of frost could be seen on her face. No matter how arrogant Wan Chuha was, he was still a bit afraid of Fang Minxia. He tried to explain with a smile, "Officer Fang, I was just joking with them. Please don't take it to heart." Joking? Fang Minxia slapped him in the face, frowned, and said coldly, "You're so stupid. Do you really think the Hong Kong police are just for show? I will talk to Wan Qili in person." After that, she ignored the pale-faced Wan Chuha and bowed slightly to Jiang Tian. "Mr. Jiang, I'm really sorry. I'm late. I didn't expect this to happen." So, he really knows someone from the Hong Kong police force. Sun Jiaro's face changed dramatically. Meanwhile, Wu Chu Chu looked at Jiang Tian in disbelief. "Kid, why are you picking on me?" Zhen Shuai suddenly pointed at Wan Chuha's nose and asked. "You touched my woman." Wan Chuha shouted angrily. "Who? I've touched too many women." Zhen Shuai was confused and frustrated. Wan Chuha said a name. It turned out that the long-legged Taiwanese actress was Wan Chuha's sweetheart. He had already spent a few million on gifts, but before he could do anything, he saw the gossip. It was said that the actress met a young tycoon in the middle of the night and stayed at the Peninsula Hotel for half an hour. Zhen Shuai had forgotten about it and didn't pay attention to the gossip. However, Wan Chuha paid attention to it all the time. He was the prince of the United Bamboo Gang, a real spoiled brat. He spent all his time with women, dating actresses, and getting involved in all kinds of scandals. He was furious when he saw the news, so he asked around and immediately found out about Zhen Shuai's identity and whereabouts. Zhen Shuai took out his phone and searched. The news was indeed published on the website of Apple Daily. Fuck, what the hell are these paparazzi writing? Zhen Shuai was so angry that he wanted to throw his phone away. Dude, I did spend the money, but I really didn't do it. I just ate some noodles with her. Do you believe me? I don't believe you. Wan Chuha snorted disdainfully. You don't have that much money. Do you think I'm an idiot? Fuck off. Zhen Shuai said angrily. Didn't the news say that she only stayed at my hotel for half an hour? If I really did it, it would only be half an hour. Zhen, this is not over. Wan Chuha flicked his long hair and turned to look at Jiang Chao, Zhen Shuai, and the others. My dad, Wan Qili, is upstairs. He will come after the meeting and kill you all. Chapter 723. Idiot. You only know how to talk big. Jiang Chao pointed at his nose and scolded, Let me teach you something. Either you don't take out your gun, or you have to shoot. Do you understand? Fuck, United Bamboo Gang's crown prince, you're a disgrace to your father. Furthermore, that long-legged female celebrity is a prostitute, and you're treating her like a treasure. Do you have any shame? Since you don't have the ability to keep an eye on her, then let's play together. You're still grumbling, do you have any shame? After we play together, we'll be brothers-in-law, brothers, and relatives. You're fighting with your brothers-in-law and relatives over such a trivial matter, do you have any shame? Wan Chuha's handsome face turned red with shame. He looked around and realized that everyone was holding back their laughter. Monstrous anger flashed in the depths of his eyes, and he gnashed his teeth so hard that they shattered. But Fang Minxia was here, so he didn't dare to do anything. He could only leave with his friends. No way, they're really that rich? To be able to sleep with that female celebrity? Sun Jiaro was a little shocked. 2 million a night, this bunch of mainlanders really didn't treat money as money. Too overbearing. This person is called Jin Shui, a nouveau riche in the leisure industry in Jinling. His net worth is a few hundred million. On the side, Xiao Yunjie's eyes flashed with a trace of gloominess as he sneered, playing with a few female celebrities is nothing difficult. He's actually so rich, and he's so respectful to Jiang Tian. Doesn't that mean Jiang Tian is? Sun Jiaro was shocked as she couldn't figure out Jiang Tian's identity. Compared to the Xiao family, he's still far off. Just a bumpkin. Xiao Yunjie laughed with disdain. Then hurry up and take revenge for me. Jiang Tian slapped my face. Sun Jiaro urged. Wait a moment, there's no need to rush. The show has just begun. Xiao Yunjie was slightly stunned before he laughed. Zhirua, do you want to consider mending your relationship with Jiang Tian? He seems to have some background. Wu Chu was a little shaken. Although he's not from a rich family, he's still a relative of the Zhang family. He's also a genius, rich people will definitely flatter him. Wu Zhirua hesitated for a moment, then shook her head and said angrily, but so what? Now, Jiang Tian and his gang had offended Hong Kong's 3 biggest gangs and Taiwan's United Bamboo Gang. Any one of them would be able to tear him apart, let alone if they joined hands. Fang Minxia can protect him for now, but she can't protect him forever. But he's still here. What an idiot. Xiao Yunjie smiled. Miss Wu, haven't you always wanted to meet my big brother, Xiao Yunhao? I'll take you there now. All right. Wu Zhirua's beautiful eyes brightened as she gladly agreed. Even if Jiang Tian was a relative of the Zhang family in Beijing, even if he had some ability, he still couldn't be compared with Xiao Yunhao, who was on the same level as Li Zhikai. The Peony Hall on the 2nd floor was much higher than the Tulip Hall. If it weren't for Xiao Yunjie, Wu Zhirua and Sun Jiaro wouldn't have had the qualifications to enter. Big brother. This is my girlfriend, Sun Jiaro. This is Sun Jiaro's best friend, the CEO of Man Tingchun Real Estate, Miss Wu Zhirua. Xiao Yunjie led a group of people to the front of the young man in a white suit who was surrounded by the crowd and bowed respectfully. Xiao Yunhao, the real young master of Hong Kong, Xiao Shikuan's only son. In Hong Kong, his influence was on par with Li Zhikai. At this moment, he was chatting with Li Zhikai and a few other top young masters, as well as a few famous tycoons. These young masters were of high status. They were basically first-rate young masters. Even Xiang Qian and the others were not qualified to get close to them. At this moment, Sun Jiaro was regretting her decision. From Xiao Yunjie's attitude, Xiao Yunhao was the real young master of the Xiao family, while Xiao Yunjie was more like a follower. The difference was too big. She should be on the list of top young masters like Xiao Yunhao. If she wanted to sell him, she should sell him for a good price. But in front of the future heir of the Xiao family, she didn't dare to be rude. She quickly said, Man Tingchuan's board member, Sun Jiaro, greets young Master Xiao. At this moment, she played a trick. In fact, she was only a senior assistant of the board, but she vaguely said that she was a member. Those who didn't know better would think that she was a board member. Young Master Yunhao, this is my niece, Wu Zhirua. Look, she's very beautiful. Wu Chuchu's face was full of joy as she pushed her niece out. She was full of regret. When the Wu family was still doing well, she used to matchmake Wu Zhirua and Xiao Yunhao. But at that time, Wu Buxiong said that he could only choose Jiang Tian as his son-in-law, causing them to miss the opportunity. But now, how could Jiang Tian be compared to Xiao Yunhao? Now, he was going to inherit the family business. Oh, Miss Wu, nice to meet you. Xiao Yunhao chatted with Li Zhikai and the others for a while before turning around to greet them. But anyone could feel the distance between them. As for Sun Jiaro and Xiao Yunjie, he didn't even look at them. He just nodded slightly to greet them. Young Master Yunhao, I have talked to your company before. Wu Zhirua quickly brought up the high-end villa marketing project. She wanted to get the job. Xiao Yunhao crossed his legs and sipped his red wine. Miss Wu, there are at least 1,000 real estate marketing companies in Hong Kong. Which one of them doesn't want to work with the Xiao family? This is a profitable project. If you want to get the job, you have to pay for it. That's right. It is a great honor to work with the Xiao family. It is also a proof of your strength. A tycoon sneered. Little girl, you have no foresight. Is there a need to bargain? The Xiao family's high-end real estate project is a profitable one. A famous investor shook his wine glass and said sarcastically. That's right, Miss Wu. It is rare to be chosen by young Master Xiao. You must seize the opportunity. Another tycoon said with a smile. Among the crowd, only Li Zhikai's eyes were lowered. He didn't say a word, but the corner of his mouth seemed to be smiling. Wu Zhirua's face froze. Xiao Yunhao pondered for a while and then said with a smile. However, since you are Sun Jiaro and Yunjie's friend, I will give you a chance. I will increase your profit from the original 5% to 8% as a reward. Thank you. I will do my best to complete this project. Wu Zhirua was overjoyed. If that's the case, we are friends from now on. Xiao Yunhao introduced Wu Zhirua to his friends, which made her feel flattered. The people around Xiao Yunhao all had a strict aura. They were either wealthy or respectable. They were all super rich and were investors in real estate projects. Their net worth was as high as 10 billion, far surpassing that of the Wu family. Su Zixuan is here. Suddenly, an uproar came from downstairs. It seemed that someone important had arrived. She is here. Xiao Yunhao rose to his feet and was overjoyed. Seeing this, Wu Zhirua let out a wry smile. She had heard that Xiao Yunhao had been pursuing Su Zixuan for many years and had always been single. He was known as the most eligible bachelor in Hong Kong. Now that she had seen him in person, she knew it was true. The funny thing was that her aunt wanted to push her to Xiao Yunhao. Wasn't that a fool's dream? Compared to Su Zixuan, the gap was too big. After all, she was Su Maozhai's granddaughter. Su Maozhai was the most powerful sorcerer in Hong Kong. He was on equal footing with many big shots. I will go and have a look. Xiao Yunjie walked to the railing and looked downstairs. He frowned and said, Brother, Su Zixuan is here. Big brother, Su Zixuan is here, but why is she dancing with that guy from the mainland? At this time, the ball had started in the Tulip Hall. Jiang Tian and Su Zixuan were dancing on the dance floor. Wu Zhirua also saw this scene and couldn't help but be shocked. Originally, she only thought that Jiang Tian and Su Zixuan were friends, but she didn't know how deep their friendship was. Now it seemed that their friendship was not shallow. At this time, she couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Although Su Maozhai's family was not as rich as Xiao Shikuan's family, they were still a force to be reckoned with in Hong Kong. If she had used Jiang Tian as a springboard to get acquainted with Su Maozhai and other big shots, developed for a while, and then met Xiao Shikuan again, she would have a certain amount of capital and foundation, unlike now, when she was at the mercy of others and was in a passive position. What is this Chinese guy's background? Xiao Yunhao walked to the railing and took a look. His eyes suddenly became cold and angry. This. Everyone's face was strange. Although Jiang Tian was famous around the world, it was only limited to the top intelligence agencies in the dark world. And in Hong Kong, only a few top tycoons and big shots knew him. Moreover, because of competition in the same industry, Xiao Shikuan personally ordered the whole Hong Kong to block the news about the Immortal Healing Village and the Jiang family. This was a top secret. Not to mention Xiao Yunhao, almost everyone present didn't know about Jiang Tian. But Wu Zhiruo looked at Li Zhikai nervously. Li Zhikai sipped his red wine and didn't say a word, as if he didn't know Jiang Tian. Wu Zhiruo's heart thumped. It's over. Now Li Zhikai made it clear that he didn't want to offend Xiao Yunhao and didn't want to speak for him. Why was this Jiang Tian so reckless? It was fine if he hooked up with Fang Minxia, but he even hooked up with Su Zixuan. And it seemed that she was right not to choose him. He was a womanizer and had a messy private life. He was definitely not a good match. At this time, Xiao Yunjie smiled and said, the relative of the Zhang family in Yanjing, Zhang Huchen's cousin, Jiang Tian, has just bullied a lot of people downstairs. He even suppressed Fang Shumin. Sun Jiaro had been encouraging him to step on Jiang Tian. But he didn't act rashly. First, he wasn't 100% confident. After all, now he knew that Jiang Tian was a relative of the Zhang family in Yanjing. Second, he also didn't think it was worth it. For a girl like Sun Jiaro, he could just play with her for a few days. It was not worth offending people for her. But now, with his cousin's help, he could also report to Sun Jiaro. Sun Jiaro was jealous that Jiang Tian had hit her before, so she added fuel to the fire. Young Master Yunhao, look at him and Su Zixuan being very intimate. Why? How can he be compared to young Master Yunhao? He's not even as good as Yunjie. He's trash, he doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Wu Chuchu also fanned the flames, he dares to touch any woman. Who doesn't know that Su Zixuan and young Master Yunjie are a match made in heaven? Isn't this slapping our Yunhao children's face? This is too much. Now that the Wu family got to know Xiao Yunhao and got the Xiao family's big order, they would take off. In her eyes, Jiang Tian was not worth mentioning. Of course, she would stand on the Xiao family's side. Let me see how much weight he has. How dare he touch my woman? Xiao Yunhao couldn't bear it anymore. He pushed the crowd away and strode downstairs. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.